That whole era for that's why I remember this because Alan Jackson, Travis Tritt, Run Country Club.
Marion Township Zone Inspector emailed a couple questions.
Okay, yeah, he's new, he's gonna be asking a lot of questions. Yeah?
We also get to hear the presentation of all the transit stuff.
Yeah.
I can't say. So, sympathy for the devil, painted black. What's the other one? Please allow me to introduce myself. Okay, what's the other one then? I don't know if I know your religion, but maybe. They have three really big songs. Is that the yes, I did pretty good. Pretty sure. Painted black.
Hi, James.
Dapper young man.
I'm sorry? I'm good. Your weekend this past weekend, so I'm kind of a little, it's like, oh crap, it's Monday again. How did that happen?
Girl weekend.
Oh yeah, well, because normally I'm in the band, so normally we have a lot of ceremonies. So it was good. We're going to have a great tour this summer. It's going to be great. I'm going to actually get to sing a solo on one of the concerts this year, so that's going to be nice. Yeah.
You guys just travel all over?
Yeah, Jordan, Ohio. So, what you remember when you're here? Like, years? Dayton area or something like that. Just reaching out there. It is what it is.
Guess who's grooming with me? Alan. He changed his plans.
Okay.
Told me. That's what I'm wondering. Jason Ron in there. I'm wondering if Aaron's not showing up because he showed up last week. I saw Aaron.
You're just going down like.
Committee shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. I mean, as long as they get here at 6:01, we should be fine.
Her grandbaby came early and she's in St. Louis.
How you doing? Good. This is what I was working on.
At your convenience, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. All right, right now. All right, we're going to call this meeting of the Zoning and Annexation Committee together at 6:11 p.m.
Mr. Prater,
Here.
Mr. Rollins, Mr. Shaw.
Here. All right. And we have some new business here. It's item 1 is zoning ordinance amendment code for solar May 25th PD ordinance amending the planning and zoning code, Title 9 general use and development standards, and regulate accessories and energy systems. This came out of the Planning Commission. And the recommendation was 8-0. Has anybody got any comments, or go ahead, Mr. Lingasa?
Okay. Yeah, this came out, the intent, this deals with allowing accessory solar. What we mean is related to a house or a business, not utility scale solar like going in on the north side of Marion Road. So this is like if a homeowner wants to have solar panels on their roof, or some panels in their rear yard, or a business and industry wants to have it. And basically, it has standards in here for homeowners, so they can do it. It has to meet the normal setback. So in other words, you can't have it in your front yard if you want to put standalone panels. And basically, though, for business and industry, it's conditional use. It's not allowed as of right. So if a business or industry wants to do it, they would have to go before the Board of Appeals, which is also the city planning, and present their diagram and plan, and then the city Board of Zoning would have to approve it. There's a limit of 10 acres, and that, in some cases, I don't want people to get hung up on that, because in some cases, 1/8 of an acre might be too much. Most places in the city would be, that would be way too much. 10 acres is in there for some place like to do a rail industrial park. If one of those industries out there wanted to have it for their own use, primarily for their own use. Now, yeah, you get to, just like a homeowner, if at times you produce a little bit extra, it goes into the overall grid. My daughter, son-in-law, they have solar panels. They actually get some excess goes to the grid, but it's for their use too.
So, like for instance, if I wanted to put solar panels on my house, which faces west, I could do that as long as it was on the roof.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be on the roof, and not setting up a stand-up one in my yard facing.
You can have a stand-up one, but
it's in the backyard.
It'd have to have, yeah, it can't be in the.
Visible.
Yeah, right.
What about, one time I saw a place where they had solar panels on the back of a truck. Nothing like that or anything. And I actually read through this. I thought it was very well written. I thought it was very well written. I thought the ordinance was. And 10 acres, the only way I can judge 10 acres is, growing up in Fair Park, I was always told that the Fair Park school, the old way it was set out, was 10 acres.
That's probably about right.
That is 10 acres. So that's how I would judge 10 acres, where I used to play softball and baseball and all that.
And that's more for, again, a situation like
Yes.
ArcelorMittal or US Yacht, somewhere where there's more acreage, or if a city annexes some land that's more open.
Yeah.
That's a 10-acre limit. In most places in the city, like I said, it could be, an eighth of an acre could be too much. Or they don't have to allow it at all. So,
right.
that was the one hang-up when Evelyn put that tent. I said, the only trouble is I don't want somebody to think that they're gonna be actually that big. 99 times out of 100, it's not gonna be that.
No, I understand, because most places, there's not going to be some property that large.
Right, most of the business is gonna, and so,
All right.
and then so,
All right, is there anything else, Mr.
that's
McCase?
the highlights unless there's any other, questions about it.
All right,
Mr. Neff?
yes, go ahead, Mr. Neff.
Mike Neff, City Council at Large. Just a question. I think I understand the way this all reads, but at one point, there was language in here that only allowed solar to be put on a portion of the property in relation to the footprint of the building. That's no longer in here, and I'm just trying to understand what the justification for that was. Is it?
Yeah, I think I can speak intelligently to that. So since it's an accessory use, it'll be regulated by the standards for any accessory structure within whatever district it is. So you can't go and cover your whole backyard or something like that. It's still, just like you couldn't do that with a shed or something like that. So, that's where I think the regulation for maximum usage would come. It'd be regulated just like any other accessory use.
Go ahead, Mr. Neff.
Just to add on to that, my whole thought in my mind was, I guess, really where this is covered is, number one, it's a conditional use. And, but still, let's say XYZ company buys 10 acres of land. They say, here's my building, it's a 24 by 24 foot building, and the rest of my entire property, I'm gonna cover it with a PV array. And it gets into that because we can't sell it back to the company for power generation. Is that how that's gonna work?
Yeah, well, that's also why, for the record, James Walker, Regional Planning.
Yes.
That's why, it's worded so that residential, it's, accessory use on your roof, ground, whatever, it's just another accessory use. Commercial, if you're throwing it up on your roof, you go for it, or industrial. But then if you're going to put it on the ground, that's why it's only conditional, because they want you to come in here and explain why you're, how much your ground you're going to be taking, why you're doing it. Just that, if there's ground in the city, there's infrastructure that we put infrastructure into and that sort of thing. It's for the types of purposes that would be utilizing, paying for that infrastructure, not for something that could exist in a field somewhere. And so that's, say, new cores, like, hey, we got this scrap pile, it's always going to be a scrap pile when I have a ground-mounted solar system. They'd probably be like, okay, but let's say Nucor goes out and buys 10 acres of land and puts up, like you said, a 10 by 10 guard shack and says, oh, but the rest is accessory use. First of all, they'd probably be stopped by the utility company because you can only have so much of your actual power consumption in production capability. I found that out with my own house. You can only have up to like 120% of your actual usage on there. But then they'd also have to come here and be like, and where we would say, no, you're turning that into a primary use. That's not accessory solar. You're trying to skirt the law. We're not going to have that.
I'll just add to that, Mr. Knapp. The planning commission was very unified when it comes to protecting our properties like that to not be covered to that nature, and exactly what Jamie said, stuff that we have infrastructure out there for jobs, etc. So it was a very unified front.
Any non-residential, anything that's non-residential would have to be
be approved by the board of zoning.
Go ahead, Mr. Neff.
Mike Knapp, City Council at Large. I just want to thank Regional Planning, and also the Planning Commission for bringing this forward. And I'd like to see the zoning committee move on this tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Neff. Yes, Mr. Linkaza?
I want to make one thing clear, because I didn't think I was 100% clear. So for the non-industrial, they can put it on the roof if it meets codes.
Yes.
It's when they want to do the ground mounted, that's the conditional use.
Got it.
And then, again, for, as James, Councilman, for residential, they have to meet the setbacks of any other accessory use, which would be a shed or a garage. So they can't put it too close to the side property line, you can't have it in the front yards.
I understand. Thank you very
Just wanted
much.
to make it clear, so I think I had said that.
All right. Any word from you, Mr.
Got questions?
Mr. Lingaza, you said that non-residential or residential use, if they're going to put it on the ground, it's similar to a structure. So do you measure the panel size and try to picture this in my head. So if we want an 8x10 shed in our backyard, we know it's an 8x10 shed, but
Now,
a
you don't
solar
have to
panel.
It's the location has to be within that where only sheds or swimming pools or a rear garage could be. And then it can't exceed the height limit of those.
And so I'm trying to think how deep a solar panel would be if it's on a bracket. It may
Not
be
that deep.
right. It may be 16 feet long, 3 feet deep, but you can get your setbacks probably fairly easy. So will that will that affect the ratio of structure versus open grass or area that we try to achieve?
It takes that out, but the footprint, you're right, might not be that.
Right.
But they're putting it, these are gonna have to be, unless somebody has a huge side yard, much more than required by the code. You know, like a 30-foot side yard, interior side yard, instead of like normal 4 or 5 feet. These are all, would only be, for all practical purposes, they would be in the backyard. And how much of the backyard you wanna use up, we have a 25% limit. Yeah, that would take up, it's not gonna take up a huge amount because of if it's 3 by 10, 30 square feet, it's not gonna be like a small shed. But it does count toward that area. You got a garage, you got a shed, it does count for that 25% rear lot coverage.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Nkeza. Any more comments? Go ahead. Go ahead, come forward, give your name.
Dan Larkin, 154 Council Street. Okay, I've had solar on my roof for years. Am I gonna have to change it if they, or is it kind of like grandfathered in?
I don't believe this would be, if you got it on your roof, I don't think it would, anything, there's nothing in here at all. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if I wanted to put it on my roof tomorrow, I'd be good. Yeah, it's only as if you had somewhere in your front yard. And then otherwise it would probably be grandfathered, but no, there's nothing in here about that. You're fine, Miss
It's great
Larkin.
in the summertime, but in the wintertime, it's not real great.
Yeah. Not a lot of sun in Ohio.
No.
Hey, Amy Craig, 365 Silver Street. Talk about my empty lots. How many solar panels can I throw on my empty lots? Will I need to throw a fence around them? Or will my neighbors have to look at, because I can, in theory, put a garage or a shed or an accessory, whatever, on my empty lot if I get permission. Can I put solar panels on my empty lots so everyone has to stare at them?
So if I could try to tackle that, if you have an empty lot,
It's attached to my property.
okay, so you have a side lot.
Mm-hmm.
The way I understand tonight's explanation is you could put whatever is, if it's on the ground, whatever
Inside the lines.
meets that setbacks and whatever, and it serves just your property, you should be fine. If I understand what's being,
25% of the footprint.
I don't know if 25% is the accurate number. If Mr. Langeza said it, I would follow.
I'll start including electricity in the rent and make all kinds of money off this.
Well, unfortunately, the utility company won't let you do that, but they can.
Why wouldn't I?
They can, they'll only,
You look up the percentage, I'm
Sure,
pretty
sure.
25, that's good stuff.
So who will I be making electricity
So,
for then?
so here's the, so, somebody, maybe in the southeast side of town has a lot that's 80 feet by 150. How many, you might have
It's about
3
50 by
lots.
150, the one I'm talking about.
So how many lots you got when you put them all together? How
That's
much?
just one, and then there's another whole property beside it.
So
I
it'd
tore
be
2
like,
houses down
so it'd be
on that
like
lot.
you have like 100 by 150. when
I
you
don't
put
have a
together?
tape measure, well, probably, yeah.
Okay, well, it would be treated as if it was one lot,
Mhm.
they're adjoining, and then behind the house is the rear
It would be
yard.
beside it, because behind the house has a yard that's probably about this big, and then
Okay,
there's another property.
beside it makes, it can be done if it meets the, there's a height restriction,
Mm-hmm.
and then if it's far enough from the property line.
Okay, well, who will the electricity be made for then? I guess if it's not my
Has to be
own,
for you.
so I can't put this, we can't put this on a property other than the home we live in. But commercial
Well,
properties,
if it's a
home.
rental.
Yeah, it could be, the panels have to serve a structure that you own.
okay, so I could make
But-
electricity for my tenants.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
If it's a rental property, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your empty lot, you started going down the path that your empty lot, you put a garage on it and you
I
power it
haven't
with.
yet, I could, in theory.
No, because the city won't allow you to put a garage on an empty lot.
Malcolm told me I could if I got the right permission.
Malcolm's retired now.
You
should have done it
Good thing I
then.
saved that email, huh?
Yeah.
So, on adjoining lots, I mean, you can overlap the garage if they're in one name on both lots. But the independent lot, if you own a vacant
Yeah,
lot
it's
down
not
the
like
street,
between anything,
you
no.
can't put the garage, you can't
Right.
put the solar panels.
Okay, my neighbor has it. So we need a fence to go around these solar panels.
Any other comments?
I don't know if we need a fence or not, I don't think so.
It's not in here, no.
Yeah. All right, I make a recommendation to move this
Mr.
on to
President.
council. Yes?
Ms. Lang?
Oh, Ms. Lane, go ahead.
Doesn't need to jump up and down.
That's okay.
Under the permits, section B, utility connection approval, if the solar energy system is connected to the electrical grid, the owner must obtain written authorization from the local utility company. I get that part of it, and then submit proof of approval to the city of Marion before installation. So do they need to get a permit before they install it and contact, and who do they submit the letter of approval to at the city of Marion?
I'm trying to figure out which section B you're on. I have
It's on
3B.
page 2 at the top, utility
Okay,
connection
all right.
approval.
I would say from Ohio Edison or whoever the local,
Well, that's who they'll
Electric,
have to
yeah.
get the letter of approval from, because they'll be tapping into that grid.
yeah.
But it says submit proof of approval to the city of Marion before installation.
I-
Does that go to engineering department?
It'd be zoning inspector.
Zoning? Do we need to add that, or would they know?
They know that.
Well, the zoning inspector's given a permit.
From the electric company?
No, the permit to use the, so if you're building it, I'm sorry, if you're building a garage or putting up solar panels in the backyard,
So they still need to go to engineering?
they
and
still
get a
need that,
permit?
yep,
Okay.
and you still need to
That
get
was my
engineering,
question.
in this case, he should check, so you got the approval of the power company.
Yeah, this-
That was my question, because it doesn't really, I don't want to, I didn't know it, so I
Right.
don't assume anybody else is going to know that.
And I believe, do we or do we not have to have a permit for accessory structures? Because we passed something a few years ago that we got rid of. Remember, we got rid of the shipping, I'm looking at you, Mark, because you're the only one that was here. Remember, we got rid of the shipping containers as a accessory structure and redefined what an accessory structure is.
Yeah.
Is there a permit requirement?
Yeah, anytime you erect a structure or place a structure, you have to get a permit.
Okay, so, and I just skimmed through this. Is that clear in here that there's a requirement to get, or should it be in here to get that
It's assumed
permit?
every section that they're gonna have to get a zoning permit. And so, that's what the zoning inspector, when it comes to the zoning inspector, when the permit's gonna say, okay, you gotta need the approval of the, see this, you need the approval of the power company first.
Yeah. Well, we are 2 minutes
That,
past our start time
Mark?
Yeah.
for council.
And we were right, it is 25%
Okay.
for accessory and,
I make a recommendation, move it on to council. Second.
Since we're 2 minutes in the council meeting, I'll second that so we can move on.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
All right. There's no other matters on the agenda. We're going to adjourn at 6:32. Minutes later. Even at my house today and fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie, man, I did.
Linda Sims going to close the entire alley and build a garage on the lot.
She would have had to join partial.
No,
She had to join partial.
You wouldn't believe what I hold out.
Yeah, if you own a house
my wife's
and then you have empty lot beside her, lots on either side or whatever.
Well, I need your chair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here we
Join the
go.
partial, you can go.
Here comes the judge.
Yes.
Come on up, buddy.
Is that through you guys?
Because they don't have a little section.
Is that?
This is not through you guys?
Mary's gone, so.
Yes.
Maybe a high one.
You can stay there.
All fences. Right.
Put in the center section.
That's right.
This goes quick, I hit yesterday. What did that go?
Just need to go up to make sure I am who I am.
There, now it's off.
It's 6:35 on May 27th. We're going to call the Marion City Council meeting to order. Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Present.
Mr. Rattle?
Present.
Mr. Schauber?
Here.
Ms. Lang?
Here.
Mr. T. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Here.
Mr. R. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Rollins?
Present.
Mr. Neff?
Here.
Mrs. Stoneburner?
We're going to move on to our prayer. Councilor Prater's going to lead us in prayer and then we'll do the pledge of allegiance.
Dear Lord God, Lord, we come to you tonight, thankful hearts for all that you've given us, and thankful as we just had this Memorial Day for all the veterans that gave their lives for our country. And Lord God, we also just pray that you be with us in this meeting tonight, that we would get a lot done, a lot accomplished for the good of the city, that it would be in a great spirit of cooperation and discernment. And Lord Jesus, we just thank you for all. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business tonight, we're going to have a special presentation by Nelson Nygaard, the Marion Area Transit Study. Please come up to the podium here to the right, over here.
From here.
For now, you can move over there, I think, later, but if you just introduce yourself, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bethany Whitaker. I'm here with my colleague Marvin Ronaldson. We work for a company called Nelson Nygaard. We're transit planning consultants, and we have a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation to do some transit work with Marion Transit. And we're here tonight to talk a little bit about the study, what we found, and what our draft recommendations are. So keep going. Are you okay advancing the slides? Okay. So I'm going to walk through actually, I'm going to come over there because I think this is where I want everybody to look. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the study, what we did, what resources we used to make our analysis, and then talk about the draft recommendations. And I'm going to go through it pretty quickly, but feel free to stop me if you have any questions, and for sure we can talk about anything that I'm presenting, or if you have any questions about what we're recommending. So getting started, like I said, I'm going to just show you a couple slides, about Marion Transit in case you don't know that much about it. It's actually, Marion Transit offers 3 different types of service. One is called the demand service, which you see here. The city is divided up into zones. You can travel anywhere within the zone to the downtown transit center and then transfer at the transit center to get somewhere else. So if you live in the Northwest, you can come downtown and go east to go to Walmart or something, and if you want to go home, you would do something like that. This service is available 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can schedule a ride in advance, or you can waive the bus or go to the transit center and pick it up. It costs $1.25 for an adult cash fare. There's also an enhanced service. This is more of a dial-a-ride, door-to-door service. You have to book it in advance, 24 hours, picks you up at your door and brings you somewhere else. It's available on weekdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you travel within the city, it's $2.50, so twice as much as the demand service, but it is a door-to-door service, and they'll take you up to 6 miles from downtown, but the fares do go up the further you travel. And then the last service is the Night Moves, which has some scheduled stops, but also brings people to and from their doors within the city. It's available Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night from 5 p.m. to 11. So designed to help take people out to entertainment and also support some jobs. This one is $5 one way or $10 for a nighttime pass. So that's like a super high level overview of the service. And as I mentioned, we are doing the study with ODOT and Marion Transit. It's funded by ODOT, but working really closely with Marion Transit and other stakeholders in the community, including Marion Matters, Chamber of Commerce, the mobility manager. There's a bunch of different folks that we've been meeting with and talking to. The focus of our work has really been about how do we get more people to jobs? Like, how do we make that connection? Can people get to jobs by transit? If they can't, what does this transit service need to do to be more accessible to more workers? So we did a lot of data and looked at numbers. We looked at ridership data. We had a survey with community members. We interviewed employers. We talked a lot with stakeholders and other participants. We met several times together. And then, of course, Marvin and I work in the transit industry a lot, and we have so looked at best practices and how people are doing things in other parts of Ohio and around the country. So first thing, this is like productivity of the service. This blue bar shows ridership by year. These are hours of service, and this is the efficiency of the service overall. So you can see ridership dropped a little bit in 2024. It's a little harder to tell, but they actually had fewer hours of service, in part because they didn't have enough drivers all the time. But the main thing to note, and I think Marion Transit's probably quite proud of, is the efficiency stayed the same. So in terms of how many people they were serving for each hour of service that they provided, that stayed really strong. So this tells us that the service is doing pretty well. This map shows where people are using the service, and so the bright yellow and orange shows where people are picking up and dropping off. Again, I think this is probably not a surprise to many of you. Downtown, the hospital, and then Mount Vernon Road corridor where there's all the shopping and the retail. So this is telling us how people are using it. We also looked at the time of day that people are riding it. And the blue bar is the demand service, the red one is the enhanced. So most people use the demand service. And people are using it throughout the day. And so there's no sort of like those employment peaks where a lot of people go to work at 9 or so it not really available at 7. But people are using it throughout the day. That's great. This is one of the reasons why it's efficient. But it's also telling us that maybe people aren't using it as much to go to work. We also did a survey with community members. We distributed it on the bus and we pushed it out on Facebook. Maybe some of you saw it or filled it out. It was a survey, and you picked either your rider or non-rider. It asked you slightly different questions. We got 433 responses, and it was super interesting. So I'm just going to highlight a few things. We asked people how often they use it, and especially for the demand, which is the blue, about half use it almost every week. And then there's another 20% or so use it once in a while. And then about a quarter only when they have no other choice. And then about half of the enhanced people. And that is, in fact, sort of that backup type of transportation. So also we asked people how long they've been using it. Demand, 85% have been using it for 6 months or longer. And then we asked them why. And so people are telling us they don't drive, they share a car, their car's not reliable, or they save money. And a lot of people also told us that the bus was convenient for them. So again, these are all took part of our analysis and how we tried to understand the service. So we also talked to a lot of employers. Yes?
Can I just ask a quick question?
Of course.
So what is a typical efficiency for a city like the size of Marion?
Yeah, I think around carrying about 5 or 6 passengers per hour of service is pretty good. I think if you get up to 10, that's very, very good. If you've got to fall below 4, you're probably going to get a call from DOT, so
Okay.
somewhere in that. So they're doing well in terms of that. So we talked to a lot of employers, or not a lot, but some, and we also did some research online about employers in Marion. We talked to Graphics Packaging, Marion Tech, Adeptus Staffing, United Way, Ohio Health, Whirlpool, a bunch. And we were really trying to understand the shift times and pay rates, what it was like to show up at, if your shift started at 7, did you need to be there at 6:30, or could you show up at 6:55 and go right out and start working? So we collected a lot of information, and it was very interesting and useful for us. I think one of the findings, which probably folks are really proud of here, is that you actually have a really strong and diverse employment base. It's a lot of manufacturing jobs, there's medical jobs with the hospital right here, plus education, and then of course retail, hospitality, and entertainment. There's quite a few jobs in that. For sure, the manufacturing and the medical services jobs, they're better jobs, right? They pay more, they're full-time jobs, they offer benefit. The part-time jobs, their schedule requires a lot of flexibility, and the wages tend to be a little bit lower. So this just talks a little bit about the wages and the fact that minimum wage in Ohio is just over $10, almost 11, but a lot of the manufacturing jobs in Marion pay in the 20s. And so those, from the directive that we're getting, in part from Ohio's Department of Transportation, is really to focus on those skilled manufacturing jobs, those higher paid jobs, and local wages. So we also mapped out the jobs against the service to see where people could get to. And we, of course, know the time of day. But when we put it all together, we know things are working well. The riders tell us that they're happy. We know the service is productive. But we also see some key gaps, especially around employment. Service that starts at 8 and ends at 4 doesn't serve employment, right? Even 9 to 5 doesn't serve 9 to 5, doesn't serve 7 to 3. It doesn't serve 7 to 5. Also, the geography it doesn't serve a lot of the places where there are jobs. It's true within, just outside of the city of Marion, but also Marion County. And there are jobs in the county. We also know there's not as many residents, but many of those residents are high-need individuals. So we took that information together and we said, all right, what can we do about it? What would the recommendations be? So I have a handful of slides. The main things are start earlier and later, go to more places, make the service simpler, operate on Saturdays, and go countywide. And so when we looked at those things, we also had a real focus on keeping the productivity. So we don't want to chase jobs or times of day that are gonna, we're not like, let's say if we went to midnight, there's a handful of jobs at midnight, but between 8 and midnight, we're not gonna carry anyone. That will erode our productivity. And so we really wanted to keep the service focused on where we could have a big impact and keep the quality high. So the first thing that we wanted to do is operate longer hours. We know Whirlpool, for example, is a really good target. There's almost 2,200 people that work there. They work 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and a lot of those jobs start in, there's 3 shifts that start in the morning. I think it's 5:30, 5:55, and maybe just after 6. So Marion Transit could start earlier and then end a little bit later, and anybody who lives in Marion could get a job and take transit and work at Whirlpool. We could also try to structure something like that. We won't get everybody with this, but we'll get a big bang. This is a place where we can really have an impact. We could also operate service on Saturdays, and we just did a little poll with some riders down at the transit center, and they told us they really like Saturdays. Operating Saturday service would help a lot of people. It's not helping jobs quite as much. If we're really focused on jobs, we want to go weekdays longer. It's also a little more expensive to operate on Saturdays because you probably need to have all your buses out on Saturday at all the time. I should have mentioned it on the previous slide. We estimate that operating a few hours, like starting earlier, ending a couple hours later, probably around $240,000, could probably get the state and the federal government to contribute about half of that. But this is the scale of what it would cost. To go on Saturdays is around $300,000 a year, with about half coming from grants and fairs and things like that. But you would, provide a lot more access to work. Yes.
The $120,000 cost with, I guess, grants. Is there any estimate as to what the revenue would be coming in based on what we have now?
Yeah. So transit, the fare doesn't. Even in New York City, the fares that you collect from riders doesn't pay for the cost of the service. Sometimes it works for one route or one little part of the system, but the system overall, it doesn't pay. It only pays about 10% of the cost, between 5 and 10 in a small city like this. New York City may be closer to 40 or 50%, but in a small town like this, you won't make that back. The benefit, the return on investment, is really getting people access to those jobs, and also for employers who have a reliable work base. And I'm sure you probably have talked to some of the employers around this. Transportation is one of the main things why people lose their jobs, because they don't show up on time, or they miss shifts because their car's not reliable, or they're relying on somebody else, and then they end up losing their job. The other thing we want to point out was going countywide is something else that we're recommending. In part, we think we could do that weekdays 7 to 4. We recommend that we'll get some jobs and a lot of services, so medical appointments, education, shopping, things like this. This is more expensive, but there's some more opportunities for partnerships. I know that's kind of outside of the city, but this is also part of the recommendations from our study. And then lastly, there are a handful of relatively small things that we can do to try to make the service a little bit more useful, easier to understand. If we can make it easier to understand, we know we'll attract more riders. So we talk about increasing the fares to bring Marion Transit in line with other agencies in Ohio. Rename the bus services because demand and enhanced aren't very catchy and a little hard to understand. Do some stuff with marketing materials. Do some workforce outreach and promotions across the country. United Way and Goodwill do things where you get the first month free. So I take a job at Graphics Packaging, I get a bus pass, I use that bus pass for the first month while I'm getting my feet on the ground. And so there's some partnerships that we can do in order to get programs like that started, especially if we offer a service that's available during the times of those employment. Also technology, I think, is another place where we can make improvements so people could track and see their bus, plan, book, and pay on their phones. That's something that you can do in a lot of places, although in small towns, rural is still coming. If you do capital projects like this, all these things would count as capital, probably around $100,000, but Marion would pay 50 or less, probably closer to 30, right,
Yep.
Marvin? Or 20 even.
Yep, 10%.
So we can, and we're working with Julie and her team to try to understand these costs a little bit more. But yeah, so that was like 90 miles an hour. But I didn't want to if you have any questions, we can go over anything, but we are going to be writing a report in June that details all of these recommendations, and would love to answer any questions. Well, let me give Marvin a chance to correct me, or...
No, that was great, yeah.
Okay.
But the capital expenses like buses is 8% match generally from the federal government / ODOT. So you're responsible for the local match is only 20% for that. So that should be closer to 20,000, not 50,000.
Yep. Any questions or anything?
Christian Dunstan, 211 East Fairground. So when you do your efficiency breakdowns, are you able to tell, you had the beginning slide, you had 3 distinct things, like so you have this day and then the 6 to 6 and then this. Are you able to tell which of these is efficient and which of these, while it's a nice service to have, we should probably kick it to the curb to bolster the other 2 services?
So we can do some of those calculations. When we did our analysis, the data that we used didn't have the night moves. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
No, I'm just asking.
Oh, yeah, so we looked at demand and enhanced. Demand is more efficient. It's designed to be more efficient. Enhanced provides a higher level of service. So if you're an older adult, a person with a disability, it's more designed for that type of user.
Okay.
So you would expect it to be less efficient standing on its own.
But now, do you have the night moves data to be able to do a comparison
We
between
do
the...
not, no.
Okay. So the report you write will only include the data gathered for the demand
Yeah.
and the other thing. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. May I ask why the night moves information was not included? It has been going on for about 8 months now, so we have information for it, but no one can seem to get their hands on it.
Well, so the data that we mostly used is reported to the federal government, and it doesn't include, we didn't have it, right?
It didn't split it out.
It didn't split it out, yeah. So we use the National Transit Database for our numbers. It allows us to be consistent over time, and that's important. And so because I think that service started late of 24, so it didn't appear in that year's of data, and that was the last data point that we had at the end of 24.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the concerns that the community has, we've had the service for 8 months or so now, almost 8 months. We were told at some point in the fall that we had as few as 2-3 riders riding the bus. So when you're showing us those efficiency numbers, I think most of us are sitting back here going, that's not actually accurate.
Yes.
So when you have, a 6-hour shift and you have 2 people on it, that's seriously going to skew the efficiency numbers.
Yeah, that's true. The number of hours that's, if you're only carrying 2 people over 5 or 6 hours, yeah, that's much lower than the numbers that we showed. But that's a couple things. One is, what we typically say is a brand new service, it can take up to a year to catch on, right? Like it's a new product in the marketplace, people didn't have access to it before, so they have to learn how to use it, learn to expect it, and then you should see ridership go up. I don't know when that two people a night happened, but what we would be looking for over time is a steady increase. We wouldn't expect over 9 months that it would be as productive as the services that have been operating for 5 or 10 years. But we would expect to see an increase. The fare is also quite high on that. That also could be a reason. And then I'll also just add that the instructions that we got from Ohio DOT, who was funding our study, was to really focus on employment and access to employment. The night moves does help with that. It provides some access to employment.
If you haven't seen the documentation, how do you know that it's helping with employment?
Because we know that if some people work at night and they get off work at night, and
so lots of people work at night and get off work at night.
Yeah, but then they can take the buses available for them to take it. Yeah.
On Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, right, so that's the challenge is, and what we're trying to do always is create a system, right? Because it's like the highway, like a lot of times, and I think I might have just been talking to somebody about this, but you walk out at I-90 at 2 a.m., no one's on the freeway, right? You go out at 7 a.m., it's packed. And transit systems but you need to know that that's available for you to use it and to rely on it and to support you to get to work. And so the problem with the night moves, designed more for entertainment, not for employment. If it was designed for employment, it would be a little bit different. We're not really judging night moves. We're really focused on looking at what's available now and how can we strengthen it to get more people to work, especially those high-paying, higher quality jobs.
May I ask where you got your numbers for Whirlpool from?
We called them.
Okay.
Yeah.
My husband works there, and there's 1,636 hourly employees, and they do not run a second shift. And they have not run a second shift for about 5 years.
Okay, because we talked to the HR just
Okay.
in the past 6
We
weeks.
could go out there right now, and there's no one working, so.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Christian Nelson, 211 East Fairground. I just have one more question. So when you do your report, you do your breakdown, you do your efficiency numbers, will it be hourly or will it just be in general? And the reason I'm asking is because, just a little background. For my job, I have to do capacity breakdowns hour by hour to see if we have enough techs working. But if I have too many techs at 2:30 and not enough at 8, we got a problem.
Right.
So are you going to have like a capacity breakdown hour by hour per se, saying the bus runs really good numbers these hours, but these are not as strong, and here's why?
Yeah, we did have some data, yeah. So this actually is one of the
Yes.
reasons why the service is efficient, because it opens at 8 a.m. It's already carries pretty much the same number of people every day. In these early hours, there's only one bus out, and so that bus can't do that much work on its own.
Is number on the side people? So that's 10, 20, 30, 40 people.
Yeah.
So at 11 a.m., they're carrying almost 70 people.
Yeah. That's over 5 buses.
No,
Yeah.
those are good. I'm not arguing the number. I
Yeah.
just didn't think it was that many people. So,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Councilor Renner.
Okay, 2 questions from me. I think a slide or 2, maybe even before that one, was a slide that said the percentage of why people used the service.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question here, because in doing just quick addition in my head, just looking at the blues, 54, 17, 13, 15, 21, 21 is over 100. So, like, if you glance at that, that looks good, except for, I don't know how that the questionnaire was set up, if only 17% of the people felt a certain way, or if only 15% said that they saved money, or if only 21% said that the bus is convenient. If it was a check all, those numbers are poor. If it,
Fair enough.
so, my question is, how was what was the question?
I believe for this question, we select all that apply for that one. And it still gives us pertinent data because, you can also not have a car, you don't drive, but still find the bus is convenient. Overall, the numbers aren't skewing too irregular. We're gonna have over 100%, but we're not seeing 200%, you know what I mean? So that's will be something, that would be indicative of someone just selecting everything at the same time. So it's still giving us valuable information on the preferences of those users. And I think one of the strongest indicators on transit is that these 3 answers only reflect people that either are what we call car poor or car free, or they have no access to a vehicle, or they have limited access to a vehicle. And that's primarily throughout the country your primary transit user. And the other users would be saving money or the bus is convenient. That's more of a convenience thing. It's like I choose to ride this because I enjoy the service. But you can also not have a car but still enjoy riding the service. That makes sense?
Right. Well, but that's the one that's probably the most concerning to me looking at it, is the bus is convenient. Because if it's a select all, and 79% of the people say the bus isn't convenient, would be the flip side of that, then we have a lot of work to do.
Yep, and I think that's that's fair. Public transportation is always a shared service, right? So it's still, if you live on the north side of town, you want to go to Walmart, it's probably going to take you 45 minutes to get there. It'll probably take you 15 to drive, but it's a shared service. We're trying to be as efficient as possible, provide a service for everybody, and the bus is rare, again, it's like New York City, Washington DC, Chicago, someplace like that, where it's actually more convenient to take transit. But for a community like Marion, even Columbus, it's typically not more convenient, but it is less expensive, it is maybe less stressful, or you're saving money, or you can't drive, or...
Okay. And then my other question, I'm assuming you have done this for other communities, and you've had probably some of the same recommendations for other communities to go from city to countywide.
Yep.
Have you seen in the past that, for example, the county commissioners bear some of the cost of that if we expand outside?
That is typically the way that it works, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. And
That's good to know.
Yep. And if you had a shared county-city service, you would probably want to change the way you govern that, because you're both paying in and you want to share decision-making proportionate to how much you're putting in or how much service there is. Like, there's always going to be more in the city of Marion than Marion County. But Marion County probably wants a seat at the table if they're putting, that's our experience. That's the United States, right? Taxation representation. So if they're paying in, then they're going to want to share with the decision making. Yeah.
Only thing I'd add to that would be that the counties themselves they provide transportation either through partnerships they have with the Board of DD or JFS and other areas. So sometimes that's part of the calculation that if you expand service in some counties, and this depends on a specific county, you can include more trips from JFS or DD, depending on how the county is organized. And that in and of itself helps support the service, and then helps the county bring more money in from the federal government to help offset the cost of some of those services.
And you combine the effect. Right.
Yeah. You're just creating a bigger system, but it includes more users, more diverse user base.
And you can count that money. That's one of the reasons why we estimate countywide to be around 500,000, but probably local match is only 150. Because that assumes that Jobs and Family Services, Medicaid, other programs like that they're doing contracts together, and we're sending one bus out to do all of those things. Consolidation of services.
And then my last question, are you giving this presentation, or have you, to the county commissioners?
We have not, no.
Just the one
And to be fair, I think Kirby from Ohio DOT is sitting here. They directed us to study just City of Marion. We also think countywide would help with employment, so we're including this, but it's been less of a focus of our work.
Okay.
Councilor Sharma.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you would recommend increasing rates. Now, will you, in your report, suggest a rate we go to, or is that not part of what you're trying to accomplish?
We can, I think it's the last slide.
Last slide.
Yeah. So mostly increasing the fares is to bring Marion in line with the other transit agencies around the state. It's among the lowest. And so I think we have some general ideas and practice. So we didn't do a whole deep analysis, but the other thing is $1.25, people don't have $1.25, like so going to $2, something like that, is more in line. But we can show some numbers on that.
And your estimated cost on each of I believe the last 3 slides or last several slides, that's additional cost to what our system is currently?
Correct. Yeah.
And I think that one says there's grants, so we would have to apply for other grants, or would this be through ODOT that we have our majority of our grants now?
It would be through ODOT. Most of them, yep. Not all of them, but most, yep.
And this study helps leverage us to get these grants? Okay.
Yep. It's one of the main reasons to do this study, honestly.
Okay. And ODOT asked you guys to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're here.
Okay.
Councilor Rattler.
I'm just going to say this on this subject because I had this conversation with the director of transportation, and I strongly believe we should not raise our rates, and I just am going to put that
Okay.
right up front. I would encourage our peers to get in line with us and lower
Mhm.
theirs instead of us raise ours to match theirs. That's
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think it's always a debate in transit. Like, should we charge nothing? Should we charge what we think it costs? Should we, and just finding that right, striking that right balance it's a policy decision.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Skylar Thompson, 963 Congress. The night movers, you said that was primarily for entertainment?
It was designed initially.
Is that on like a pre-planned route or?
Yep.
It's not flexible?
I think it's morphing.
It is morphing, yeah.
Yes.
Because the first thing that came to mind when we were talking about it being underutilized is in a small town like Marion, we don't usually have a reliable cab service. Expanding it to access more of the town could probably make it more
Yeah.
useful.
It's designed with some fixed points, but they are allowing people to get on and to request to be taken curb to curb.
That was all I had.
Yeah.
I do have one question.
Yeah, of course.
I know you showed three different options that we could look at and think about, and just wondering, would it be any economy to scale, say if we were to do all three of those, where we could chop some of the costs down? Would the grants stack on top of each other? Would we be able to lessen the city's impact?
There's some
financially?
things that probably make sense to package. It's also a lot for relatively, because if you did everything that we're recommending, it would probably double, and that's a lot for any business to double. And so what we're going to recommend is kind of a phased approach. It is opportunity to leverage some things, and there may be an opportunity to advance countywide before you go, you got to, if opportunities come up, you want to be flexible to match those opportunities. But our recommendations are going to be kind of to step through over time. We put a schedule out and Julie's like, that's not fast enough. But so I think we're taking some of that feedback and trying to do things as soon as possible. We know there's a need out there, yeah.
Just come up to the podium.
Kirby Durst, Department of Transportation, Office of Transit. One of the reasons why you have to walk through that slowly is also the DOT side. As you know, our funding cycles are kind of a year ahead. As we mentioned earlier, our data cycles are a year behind that we're consistently looking at. So it takes time to move through those grant applications and processes. Our team also likes to get in touch with the local agency and walk through implementation to ensure we're doing so efficiently and effectively. So often the timeline is surprise constrained by us, but for good measure.
Councilor Schauber.
Yeah, to your point about the grant timing, so are you taking applications for 26?
So our
Or are
awards.
you out at 27?
Our awards for 26 will be released in the coming weeks, and then we will start taking applications for what we call state fiscal year 2027, which will run from June
to the
of
following year.
2026 until June of the following year in 27.
Okay, so if, through this study, there's additional grants, if we do, I believe, a countywide or a evening service, expanded evening service, we would potentially get grants to fund that maybe fiscal year 27?
You would apply for fiscal year 27, that would be the earliest, because we've already received applications and we'll be awarding 26. I think the key part of this that you have to realize too is everything on your end has to be lined up at that point as well. So all of the contracts with the various different providers throughout the community, the city match, the county match, all of those things dictate how much funding you will then receive in return from the state and federal government.
Okay, so we pretty much have to get what services we want to provide in line and maybe even roll with them?
Not necessarily roll, but at least study it to an extent in which you understand costs and what you are able to bring to the table.
I'm glad you made that last statement.
Sure.
So, thank you.
Anything else for Nelson Nygaard this evening? Well, we thank you so much for your presentation. We look forward to the report coming. We're going to move on to our summary of proceedings. We have a summary from May 12th. Mr. Ralph Smith.
I have a question on page 4, resolution 2025-010. It said that there were no nay votes, but yet it was adopted 7-2.
That was my fault. Mr. Ratliff and Mr. Schaubert both voted nay, and I corrected that on the digital copy already.
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. R. Smith for the first, Mr. T. Smith for the second.
Yes, sir.
Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schaubert?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Moving on to old business, item number 1, we have ordinance 2025-047. This is the Hoyle Street vacation.
Ordinance vacating a public street situated in the city of Marion, Marion County, state of Ohio, and known as being in the southwest quarter of section 21, township 5 west, range 15 east, being part of outlots 420 and 421, and being a part of Hoyle's Street right-of-way area as recorded in Horatio Hoyle's first edition, Plat Book 3, page 114 of Marion County Recorders, state of Ohio, and retaining permanent easement rights.
This ordinance came out of Streets and Sewers Committee. I'm going to yield the floor to Councilor Barr at this point.
Come out of Streets and Sewer Committee with 3-0 recommendation to reject. I have nothing further to add if there's any questions.
I don't see
They did say they would get back with us. They said if we, I asked specifically if we turned this down or voted this down, that they would basically go back to the drawing board, which I thought probably wasn't a wise thing for them to say.
Christian Nelson, 211, I didn't hear the recommendation. What was the?
To reject.
Mr. Barr.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Barr. We have Mr. Rollins with the second. Clerk, would you please take roll?
Mr. Barr?
No.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schaubert?
No.
Ms. Lang?
No.
Mr. T. Smith?
No.
Mr. Prater?
No.
Mr. R. Smith?
No.
Mr. Rollins?
No.
Mr. Knapp?
No. Item number 2 on the agenda, ordinance 2025-049, Victims Assistance Funding.
Ordinance making an appropriation mandated by Ohio Revised Code 5705.44, previously approved by ordinance 2024-135 in the below listed line items for the year ending December 31st, 2024.
This ordinance came out of Finance Committee. I'm going to yield the floor to Councilor Lang at this point.
This came out of finance, with a 2-1, no recommendation for council. Tonight is the third read. I don't have anything to add to it.
Mr. President, if I might, I received a phone call from Sheriff Bales earlier this afternoon asking if the council would consider postponing this to a date certain. They're in the process of hiring a new person. And depending on what kind of insurance they take, we may have to come back and revisit this and increase funding. And he didn't want us to go through this a second time.
I second that. Yeah, that's exactly what I had from Courtney as well. I reached out to her this morning to make sure, to see where they were on their funding. So, yeah.
They give any indication of timeline?
She is intending to start interviews this week, so we should know probably in another month or so who they end up hiring, and then we'll have a better idea what reductions we would have. I would believe there would be some reductions, we just don't know depending on what kind of plans they take. insurance.
A recommendation on when to postpone till, Ms. Corright?
If we could just postpone it, I would say,
June 23?
yeah, if we could do the 2nd June, because by then that'll give them some time to interview, check references. So the 2nd June meeting.
June
which would be
23rd?
23rd?
Yes. If I can see it, I think that's what it says. That's in right part, June
Yes.
23rd, okay.
23rd.
I'll make that a motion to postpone to that date.
Okay, we have a motion
What's the
by
date again?
Mr. Barr. We have a second by Mr. R. Smith.
The date was June,
June 23rd.
I should know that, making the motion.
June 23rd.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to postpone to June 23rd, the third reading of ordinance 2025-049. Any discussion? Clerk, would you please take roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
No.
Mr. Neff?
Yes. The motion passes. Item number 3, ordinance 2025-050, amended bonding of employees.
Ordinance amending Chapter 149.01 of the Marion City Code to require certain employees to have sufficient surety bonds and declaring an emergency as amended.
And this came out of legislation and codes with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. Tonight would be the second reading. I think council has gotten a list of all the employees that are referenced in this ordinance to be bonded. Well, not the employees, I'm sorry, the
Positions.
offices, the positions, not necessarily the employees. That's what I was getting at. So right now, we're at the second reading. Is there any discussion? Councilor Ratliff.
So we touched on this last time, and I just want to make double sure that everybody feels that 30 years from now, somebody looks at this ordinance, that they know what jobs need to be bonded. Because it doesn't say the job. It says who currently holds it and the department of the position. And I just want to make sure that what we pass is crystal clear, that once we're not here, people know what positions to bond.
Mr. Ratliff, I added a separate sheet with your packets that actually listed the specific position, the office, and the bond amount.
Here's one that if you could pass that down. And
It's not exactly part of the ordinance, but after your conversation at the last meeting, I wanted to make sure that there was something you guys had that was crystal clear that this is what we were doing.
Right, so that helps spark my question, because that helps us be crystal clear in what we're passing. I'm not sure it helps people years from now be crystal clear on what we passed, if it's not part of the ordinance.
Councilor T. Smith.
Yeah, could we just amend to add this to the ordinance if need be? Have this attached as an exhibit?
And the longer.
So if I may, Mr. President.
Please.
So I think the best information that's before you is the ordinance in the form that it's drafted, because a person looking back 30 years, 20 years, or 10 years from now can go through the records and they can see these employees' names and connect them with a particular position. I believe, having reviewed the handout that's been shared with you, it references, the clerk's position, clerk 2, but the office could have more than one clerk 2, and things like that. So just for what it's worth, I would highly recommend that you adopt the ordinance in its current draft form. I think the information contained within the ordinance provides anyone doing research with the specificity to be able to identify the particular person or job that was required to be bonded.
Christian Medicine, 211 East Fairground. How soon after passage is this going to take effect that people are going to know, like, okay, so it passed in July, I need to be bonded by this date? Is there a date certain in there that says you got to be bonded by that date?
Yes, Councilor Lang.
In the 149.01 bond, it says effective July 1st of 2025, the officers and/or employees serving in the positions listed in the surety bond requirements by position table. So if it passes, we've got till July 1st.
Okay, because according to the dates in the legislation, several people are already out of compliance, and theirs expired. So do we need them to come into compliance before we pass this, or do we need them to do this sooner than everybody else? Or we just wait until July 1st, and that's when they have to be bonded by?
Councilor Lang.
The reason why some of the people are not in compliance is because the ORC says that the municipality has to have legislation in place, and Marion City has no legislation.
So that's why the utility billing and the director of budgeting aren't in compliance? Because there's no code that says those positions need to be bonded.
That's correct.
Okay.
ORC says that the only people that need to be bonded are the auditor, treasurer, and the mayor. Any other persons that are needed to be bonded have to be covered by legislation through the municipality.
Okay, so then all of the people who are outside of that, who are already bonded on here,
The-
what do we, just thank you for going above and beyond, or how's that
Well,
work?
actually, there would be misappropriated funds if you want to get technical about it, because they weren't authorized to do it.
But the funds were appropriated by you guys.
No.
Yeah, they were.
For
Yeah.
the treasurer,
For all of the people bonded,
And the
you
auditor.
approved those funds. Every single one.
Correct. Pass a budget every year,
Yeah.
appropriations
So-
every year.
I mean, I don't have a problem with all these people being bonded. I think it's a very wise way to spend our money. But my question is, if we bonded all these people, and your position is, we'll say you don't have to be, then why did they do? Is it a greater sense of duty? I mean, we paid for it for them. I don't think we're gonna make you pay for it. So why would that be, would be my question. And I'm not trying to, I'm just asking.
I guess I don't know.
Because there's quite a few
I can't
people on here
answer.
who are outside of that date. Like, you're in February, there's 2 people in February, there's a person in March, there's a person coming quickly in July. So I understand all that. There's a person in April and in May. Those are utility billing and wastewater. So the question originally was, do we need to have those people get caught up? And the answer is no. They'll fall under the new legislation, and they will have until July 1st to be bonded. So if you are currently...
that's my understanding.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you clearing that up, honestly. Thank you. And so you'll have till July 1st, and if you're out of compliance on this sheet, we understand, but you'll be caught up on July 1st. Cool. Thank you very much.
Councilor Ratliff.
Just to clarify too, not that you brought this up, but there are also some holes there that don't really show because we have increased some of the amounts. So the expiration dates may be for a lower bond, so they have until July 1st to get the new bond amount in compliance as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Marion McCray, 360 Bear Silver Street. As far as just listing the people instead of the positions, and we're talking about 10, 20, 30 years from now that we might go back and that's how we're going to reference what position they're in. Just for example, let's say the auditor becomes the Queen of Marion. We make a Queen of Marion position. But when we're looking at who needs bonds, we go back and see that she was the Queen of Marion, not the auditor. So how do we know then what the auditor needs to be bonded at? Instead of putting the position, why are we putting names? I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense, because those names could change next month, in theory.
It's informational only.
So then it's not legislation if it's just informational only? I guess I don't understand.
The table is informational only, so that they can go back and look at it to see. It does say auditor's office. It gives,
So, but why aren't we just listing the position instead of the person? Because in 2 months that could change. They could go on to a better job, they could go on to a different job, they could go on to a job that doesn't require bonding. And now when we look up Sally Sunshine, we see that she was a clerk too, and we bond the person that's taking Sally Sunshine's job as a clerk too, instead of, I don't know, the treasurer. I don't know. I'm just trying to, I don't understand why we're not being specific with positions instead of, and we're using names instead. But we need to pass this legislation as far as it goes. I can't believe how long we sat on it with as many people out of compliance. And we are out of compliance with the state of Ohio, because I've talked to the auditor, and I know we're out of compliance with the state of Ohio. I've got it written down, our little conversation to pass on to them tonight.
Any other discussion? This will go as the second reading. On,
Mr. Barr?
Mr. Barr.
I want to make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
We have a first by Mr. Barr and a second by Mr. R. Smith. We have
I
a
did have a
question.
question,
Mr.
yeah. So
Councilman Wright.
if we're
Actually, should have-
going into effect in July of this year, will that add another wrinkle because we have terms ending? And I believe that some of our people that are currently bonded, their current bonds, if it hasn't expired, ends midterm. How are we going to reset these? Or,
So, Mr. President, if Mr. Schauber's question is directed to me,
I'm just looking that way. But if you feel guilty, go ahead.
no, I don't feel guilty. I want to feel hopeful and provide you this. So assume this passes this evening and the mayor signs it, so it's taking effect far in advance of July 1st. The positions, the persons that hold these positions would be required to have this bond in place on July 2nd,
On July 2nd.
irregardless of what exists today.
Okay, so the finance chair, that will change in January. It may be the same person, but it will be a new council. So we will be purchasing a bond for the finance chair, which is currently Ms. Lang, for 6 months?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go to Councilor Barr and then Councilor Lang. So Councilor Barr.
I'd like to rescind my motion to suspend, and I have another motion to amend to add this exhibit.
So we have a motion to add the exhibit with the employee titles.
I'll rescind my second, too.
We have a second by R. Smith.
I'll second to add the exhibit.
We got a second by Councilor R. Smith.
No, I suspended my
He withdrew.
Oh, I'm sorry.
second for
Okay,
his first.
understand. So we have a motion by Mr. Barr to add the exhibit. Councilor Ratliff.
I know it's his motion, but I'm assuming that the intention is to add an asterisk under the text box that we currently have, and it'll say see Exhibit A, and then this will be marked as Exhibit A.
I'm sure Mr. Pollock had that.
Okay, I
But
just,
thank you for clarifying.
Councilor Lang.
I just want to make one comment, that there is an expiration date on the bond, so you can make it effective July 1st through December 31st if you want. And I also would like to put on the record that it is up to the auditor's office to monitor and make sure that the bonds are current and kept up to date, and if the bond has expired, it is up to their office to go and have that bond renewed. So So when I put this table together, I was surprised at how many people were not in compliance.
So as of right now, we have a motion on the floor to amend, to add the exhibit.
Point of order. I believe Thaddeus Smith did make a second.
Okay, is that correct?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for the amendment to add the exhibit. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes. Please read.
Ordinance amending Chapter 149.01 of the Marion City Code to require certain employees to have sufficient surety bonds and declaring an emergency as amended.
Wishes of council. Counselor R. Smith.
Motion to approve.
So we have the first.
Suspend.
First for a motion
Oh,
to
suspend, I'm sorry.
Counselor
Motion.
Counselor Rollins.
Suspend.
With the second.
I will second.
Suspend. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
8-1.
Mr. Ratliff, could I please ask you to
Yes.
explain your reason?
So here's my thoughts on it. Is that it came to us for a first reading last time, and we amended it. Then it had a first reading after we amended it at the last meeting. Then it's here tonight after we've thought about it for a while, and we've amended it tonight. So it receives a first reading tonight. If we suspend the rules tonight, or if we suspend them at the next meeting, it still takes into effect January 1st, or I'm sorry, July 1st. So there is no change by thinking about the same piece of legislation that we have changed 2 meetings in a row. So I just think we should think about it again for another 2 weeks, make sure there's no changes that we want to make. I think we should entertain a suspension at the next meeting, and there is no change in the outcome because it takes effect the same exact date whether we suspend the rules or not.
And make sure I get the amendment in there right.
Correct. I assumed that.
Mr. Schauber?
So,
Counselor Schauber.
yes, it can take effect July 1st, as long as the signature from the mayor is on it and 30 days has passed. So how is
It's an
that-
emergency.
There's an emergency. Oh, my mistake. I need to read all the words, not just 3 of them.
Counselor Rollins.
Yeah, I just think it would be good to give people as much time as possible to get their bond in order, whether it be increased, need renewed, et cetera. So that's my thought.
Okay. Counselor Ratliff, I understand your point of view, but I'm going to go with the majority on this.
Okay, I understand.
So we're looking for a motion to adopt now, I believe. Counselor Rollins.
So moved.
Counselor Rollins and then Counselor T. Smith with the second.
Yes. Thank you.
Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes. The motion is adopted. 9-0. So I'm getting myself lost here. Item number 4.
Number 4.
Ordinance 2025-051.
Ordinance amending Chapter 111.01 Motions C, Rule 3 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Marion.
This came out of Legislation Codes Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. All this legislation does is codify the date and the time of the organizational meeting to be January 1st at noon. And tonight would be the second reading. Any discussion?
I would leave that as a second reading.
So no discussion, we're going to leave that as a second reading. Moving on to item number 5, ordinance 2025-052.
Ordinance amending Chapter 111.01, Motions F, Rule 6 of the codified ordinances of the City of Marion.
This also came out of Legislation and Codes Committee with a 2-1 recommendation to approve. We had our first reading on May 12th. Tonight would be the second reading. It's basically putting in order and reordering a little bit the order of proceedings of the order of business of council, rule number 6. Any discussion?
Second reading.
Any discussion? This will go down as a second reading. Item number 6, ordinance 2025-053.
Ordinance amending the zoning map of the City of Marion by rezoning 777 East Center Street from an OIA, Office Institutional Apartment District, to a C5 General Business District.
Yes, it's come out of Zoning and Annexation Committee at the 3-0 recommendation for approval. This is in reference to a proposed tattoo parlor at 777 East Center. Mr. Legazzi, you got any more information on that, or from
Nothing.
Mr.
Well,
Walker?
I think a lot of you have also been to the planning commission meetings. It's pretty straightforward. They just it's been in some form of non-residential use for a while, and the new tenants want to put something that is not allowed in the OIA, but that is allowed in the C5, so that's what prompted the request. Along with this, if I may just take a quick liberty just to aid in future legislation that will be coming forward. This area, this piece of legislation before you has prompted what will be 2 more pieces of legislation for rezoning. And if you like, I have maps printed out of the area just to kind of keep it all straight in your mind. Before I even hand out the map, I'll just invite you to picture it in your mind. We're talking about East Center Street, the area roughly between the Jersey and the OK Cafe. You all can kind of picture that strip. So this one tonight will be rezoning that lot, that 777 East Center to C5, and then you'll receive another piece of legislation in the near future to rezone the 3 lots to the west of it as also as C5, which will square off that. Would you guys like this map?
That's already, yes. We don't need to muddy the waters, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, that's fine.
That's already sitting in committee for zoning and annexation.
Right.
We just didn't have quorum last week.
Fine, no, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry, I just think
I'll
we
save
ought to
this
look
one,
at
but
this
just so
piece
you know,
of
those are coming down the
legislation.
pipe, and this is what prompted it, just to help
Okay.
connect the dots. If you have any questions?
We'd love for
on
you
it.
to come next Monday, though, to the committee meeting and explain that.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, before we go any further, I'm going to open the public hearing on this ordinance. It's 7:39, we're opening the public hearing. The ordinance 2025-053.
Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. I guess I just have one question, is the guy that's paid to do 777, and I know the other stuff is coming for zoning, the 3 houses that are 3 properties there to the west of him, did that guy have to pay to zone too, or did he just get his kicked up for free? Because I know we talked about that at another meeting, so I was just wondering if this was a friend of a friend deal and we're charging 777 to do it legit, and we're doing a buddy deal on the other ones, or how that was working exactly. Come on, I'm filling out the paper for a community meeting, somebody can answer my question.
I brought that up at the last meeting, and I think upon its passage and upon the passage of the
The other one?
other legislation that's coming, I think we should do it at that point, but it's probably premature to do it now.
So we might give them this money back when the other one's.
I am for it if the other, I mean, if we say the whole block should be, I don't think we should charge one person in the block.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that got on the record, so everybody knew that we might be charging one person, but not another person that owns 3 properties. So one guy's trying to do it right, and it seems like the other people are trying to piggyback off of it for free, and I just wanted everybody to know that.
Christian Hansen, 211 East Fairground. Also, second ward representative of the Board of Zoning Appeals. When did he pay? Because we were not told anybody paid.
He paid when he filed.
So he filed on his own to rezone 777, and then the rest of the block determined, or were suddenly after 20 years of living there, said, what zoning are we? And said, oops, we have a problem with this.
Actually, the neighbor apparently filed 20 years ago to get it rezoned and did not get that. And everyone he talked to threatened to sue everybody if we made the change without doing something else. But as Evelyn explained in the Planning Commission, she just thought it was right to block that whole block off instead of leaving 3 houses in the middle zoned differently.
She did say that. All right.
Thanks for signing, Christian.
Any other discussion? We're going to close the public hearing at 7:42 PM. Item number 7, ordinance.
You want this to be a second reading?
Yes, second reading, yes, sir.
Just a point of clarity, it says letters to residents per ORC. I think that was just, that was a recommendation coming out of Planning Commission that we send letters out. And anybody changes over 10 parcels doesn't need letters, it's just a notification.
It's a newspaper ad, but this is under,
Okay.
instead of a newspaper ad, I gotta send letters to these guys, which is a whole lot cheaper.
No other discussion, this will be the second reading. Item number 7, ordinance number 2025-054, corrected CDBG grant.
Ordinance to establish a community development block grant to the state of Ohio's Community Development Block Grant, CBDG, and to authorize the mayor to apply for Community Development Allocation Neighborhood Revitalization Grant, NGR funds, and administer the grant and declaring an emergency.
This came out of Jobs and Economic Development Committee. I'm going to yield the floor to Councilor R. Smith.
Yes, it came out of Jobs and Economic Development, and it's open for a public hearing tonight. Do you have anything to add to it?
At 6:44, we're going to open public hearing on ordinance 2025-054. 7:44 PM.
Thank you, Council. There is the sign-in sheet going around, and for our requirements, if we could just have everyone just fill out that sign-in sheet as best as you can to as evidence for the grant that we had this public hearing. But yeah, it's before you right now, and this is, I'm here for any questions that the council or the public has. This grant is part of the community's allocation grant. So we are getting that section 196,000. We just have to make sure we apply for it and do all the things that we're doing tonight and all the other hoops we have to jump through. The section 2, that is a competitive grant for neighborhood revitalization for the Lincoln Park neighborhood, roughly from Lincoln Park on down through to the railroad tracks, bordered by Main Street and Leader Street on either side. And this is all from HUD through the Ohio Department of Development, Office of Community Development.
So if they sat around in a box and get all them signed into.
Councilman Ratliff, you had some questions on this before. Is it
I
okay?
did, and I have emailed with Evelyn back and forth a little bit, and it looks good. I think you were in on some of that email chain too, Mr. Smith, and this, the corrections were changed, and this looks good to me and ready to go.
Christian Essex for Logan Fairground. Jake, do they allow the online signature type of thing for CBG grants, or does it have to be paper?
For what purposes are you asking?
Show community involvement.
As part of our community involvement so for the citizen participation portion, specifically for the public hearings, that document that's going around along with the agenda and minutes that come out of this meeting will serve as the evidence that we had this public meeting, as they will for the first public meeting that we had back in January. As far as questions about digital evidence and such, we also did a digital survey within the neighborhood. The results from that will be included in the general citizen participation evidence for the grant. Is there something more specific that you're looking for?
Sort of. So what I'm asking is, if I went online and I went to say, your website for the county, and there's a link, and I go to the link, and the first part of the link tells me, this is the grant we're going for, this is the amount, and then the rest of it describes what we're going to do with that money, and then you can click it. I saw that, and I think that would be great. That'd be the best thing I ever saw in my life. That would then count as community involvement, in my opinion, that the community has now seen what we're trying to do, and they're saying, yes, this is great. Does that exist, or am I ahead of my time? Would it be the first time? Or is that a thing?
Unfortunately, in the year of our Lord 2025, that is not a thing.
Not yet.
So, what, in fact, the ORC still requires us to put this in the newspaper as a legal ad for our public notice and public engagement. Now, are we allowed to do all those other things? Yes, but as far as what we're required to do,
Would it help us with the people giving us the money?
No, unfortunately.
That's a perfectly acceptable answer. I'm just trying to think, if we have a community that at large is online, and they are very interested in what is going on in Marion, why not put things in front of them that are going to benefit them, to give them the opportunity to say, this is the money we're trying to get for you guys. Like, this is what we're doing. Because if I can get, 3,800 people to vote that we're the best town in the history of the known world, then if I can get 200 people to say, for this block grant, that I'm on board with that, that's a win for us, compared to the, respectfully, 20 people that have come to a council meeting. I mean, 200 is 10 times the amount of that's what Aaron told me. I don't know if that's right, but
Sure. I did the math.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying a majority of our base of involvement and engagement happens online. And if we can't start to harness that for the good of the city, at the very minimum, if it doesn't mean anything for the grant, the very minimum, people are going to see we're trying. Minimum. So I'm just saying, I don't know if that's a thing, but that was my question. Thank you.
Mr. Langaza?
I mean, that's a great idea, but what's a little bit complicated in this, and the council people that have been doing this for a while know, I used to do this all the time, is a lot of these grants have certain rules. And so, well, first of all, you have to be careful because council has to vote on this before it's an actual proposal. Because you could change your mind. So you don't want to make it sound like it's going to happen when you haven't even voted on it. But the other problem is there's certain rules, like so much money has to benefit a low, moderate income neighborhood. There's a limit on the % for public service. And if you just have a list of projects, it might not be possible to do the top two in a vote online because of all the rules, so that would make it a little bit more, not saying you can't do it, it just makes it a little bit more complicated. And then part of this, since there's a allocation formula part and a competitive part, but then they're sort of intertwined in one project account for both, and that makes it a little bit more complicated too. So I hope that doesn't nix the idea, it just makes it for this grant a little bit more complicated.
Thank you. You mixed my ideas though, so
Yeah.
I do have a question for Mr. Walker, if you may. I just going to apologize. I'm not used to sitting up here, and things are hitting me a little bit different, and I missed some of the things you said, and I just want to clarify, under Section 1, the CDBG allocation grant, the Leader and Fair Park Trail, will only be there if alternate project downtown building grant is not funded, then Leapin will take the place of that trail. Because I thought, isn't that what we were trying to do, where Leapin, it should be on this first line?
Right. So, the next item up on your agenda is for the downtown grant, which is also a competitive grant. And of course, it's if it were easy, let me see how I can best try to explain this. So, the priority that we understood that came out of this was that we wanted to make sure that we funded that Leap-In HVAC. And so we're trying to do grantsmanship. We're putting them into the downtown grant. I'll go ahead and just briefly say that, that's for the Leap-In HVAC, for the rec center roof, and then, so if that doesn't get funded, then this legislation is written this way so that we can go to Ohio Department of Development and say, okay, we're changing X for Y because, and here it is all spelled out. We aren't 100% sure if we can do that, and neither was ODOD. So hopefully, we get all of these funded, and we don't have to find out. But we have done similar things in the past with NRG grants, but just the way that these buckets of money have been organized, we're not 100% sure that we can do that, but we want to make sure that we are able to do that. And so this is kind of the best solution that we were able to come up with to try to organize these grant applications in a way to maximize the potential dollars coming into Marion from state and federal governments. Does that help?
Yes, thank you very much.
I was just
Mr.
going to
Ratner.
add, the reason that we elected is because you can only apply for one project one time under one grant. So we couldn't put the Leap-In as the top project on two different grant applications. So we did it this way to where if we would not get the second one, it would flip into the first one.
Correct.
And so that way we, because we can be kicked out for having the same project applied for twice.
Right. They can't double fund things. We got to make it.
Right.
We're working with the government, so we got to make it pretty simple.
And then, Mr. Walker, those dates are almost lined up. They're fairly close to being lined up, the award dates of those two.
Within about a week, I know that the due date for it is, for at least for this one that we're talking about now, the allocation and NRG grants is June 11th. Do you remember the due date for the downtown grant? It's within the bulk. It's in June.
It's close. Now, the award states, the state sometimes is later than they say it's going to be. But when you get a grant award, like say for the allocation, like you can start the environmental review process and then not spend a lot of money. But yeah, the award, I mean, they have said, in the past, oh, you'll know by September, and then, it's October. So we don't go 100% award.
And the other thing is, it's not truly the award date, it's the fund date, which is going to be next year. So that gives, that gave us plenty of time to maneuver once we knew how everything is going to come out.
Right. At this point, we're just trying to do things legislatively as thoroughly as possible so that whenever the decisions do get made administratively, we are ready to go to execute what your intent to the best of our abilities.
Councilor Barr, did you have something?
No, I was just going to wait for you to close the public hearing.
My only other comment is that if we, from a staff perspective, request that you would suspend rules and pass it tonight. There is still enough time if we wait until the next city council meeting, but then we're talking about days instead of weeks to get this turned around. So if you could suspend rules and pass it tonight, it would really help our office a lot.
Christian Hudson, 211 Fairground. I just have a really good question. If a person signs that he's gone to multiple public hearings on this, is that going to hurt us?
Nope.
Okay. That's it.
I know, you're at all.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it.
Any other discussion? Wishes of council. It's 7:56, we're going to close the public hearing. Councilor Barr.
Motion to suspend the 3 readings.
We have a motion by Councilor Barr, we have a second by Councilor Prater.
Yep.
Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Rattler?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes. Wishes of the council. Councilor Barr,
Motion to adopt.
Councilor Prater.
Yep. Second. To adopt.
Anything else before we vote? Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Rattler?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes. Item number 8, ordinance 2025-055.
Ordinance to establish a community development program through the state of Ohio's Community Development Block Grant, CBDG, program, and to authorize the mayor to apply for flexible grants, downtown buildings program, and administer the grant and declaring an emergency.
At this time, 7:58, we're going to open a public hearing. This came out of Job and Economic Development with 3-0 recommendation to approve. Councilor R. Smith, I'm going to yield the floor to you at this point.
Yes. This is basically the second part of what we covered before. And this, if this does not get approved for the grant, then it goes back to the one that we just had. So, do you have anything else to add?
I think if we were talking about all the good things that Leapin's been doing and aims to do, I think we'd be here all night.
Exactly right. That's all I have. I'll yield.
Any other discussion? We're going to close the public hearing. Mr. Dustin, did you have something before I close the hearing? You had your hand up. I thought I saw your hand. I shouldn't have seen that.
Christian Nelson,
I think so.
So this is for Leapman as well, and then the second part of this one, if I'm reading this correct, is for the rec center, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we got it.
It's a full replacement, not a patch.
No, yeah, I was in all three of the meetings when they came over and were gracious to be very honest on what it would cost, be very honest on what they could bring to the table, and we're even more honest when we asked them to bring more to the table than they were bringing, and they did. So the YMCA has been more than a willing partner in taking care of the rec center and trying to get it back to serve the youth of this community. So I know that we have no control over getting these things, but the more we can do to try to just expedite their process would be appreciated. Thank you.
Any other discussion? We're going to close the public hearing at 8 p.m. Counselor Rollins?
Motion to suspend the 3 reading rule.
And we have a motion from Counselor Rollins, a second from Counselor Prater. Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes. Wishes of Counselor Rollins.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to adopt from Counselor Rollins, a second from Counselor R. Smith. Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes. Moving on to new business, item number 9, ordinance 2025-045.
Ordinance designating depositories of public monies of the city of Marion and declaring an emergency.
This came out of the Finance Committee. I'm going to yield the floor to Counselor Lang.
This is gone through council, it was sent back to committee, it's coming back to council as a first read. In committee, we had asked for some information that, to my knowledge, finance, we have not received. We were told that the bank applications were on file, and we wanted verification of that and the date of those contracts or applications that were on file. Mr. Reese is not here tonight, so I would just recommend to leave this as a first read.
Any other discussion on this? First reading. Item number 10, ordinance number 2025-056. Clerk, would you please read?
Ordinance making adjustments to appropriations for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
This came in a Finance Committee. I will yield the floor to Counselor Lang.
This came out of Finance Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve, and Ms. Wright is here to answer any questions and explain any other details that you might need.
And I do want to add a small detail. When we originally put that in, we did not include the match. So I'd ask for us to just do a first reading because I'm going to look at salaries and benefits and see if I can do some cleanup to find. It would be $14,081.49. That was omitted last time, so we just want to make that, point that out to you. That was brought to me late last week by Mr. Schaefer.
Was that benefits you said?
I'm going to look at salary and benefits and see if I have any area where I can move those to non-salary so that we don't have an increase to the appropriation to Fund 260. But I just need a little bit of time to do that. So if we could do it as a first read, then I should be able to answer that probably on Monday when we have committees.
Then we would need to amend it.
No, we would have to do it as amended.
So-
The only issue is that there is potentially a price increase for the radios that they're looking to purchase at the end of June 29th. So I'd like to try to work on that for us for next week. Yes, Mr. Rollins?
Counselor Rollins.
Yeah, I would just make a motion that we send this back to Finance Committee then.
That would be fine. And I should have the answer for you on Monday to take care of that.
So we have a motion to send it back to committee. We have a second by Mr. R. Smith. Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes, so ordinance 2025-056 has been sent back to the Finance Committee. Item number 11, ordinance number 2025-057.
Ordinance making adjustments to appropriations for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
This ordinance also came out of Finance Committee, and I will yield the floor to Counselor Lang.
As stated, this came out of Finance Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. Ms. Courtwright, are there any changes or additions that need to be made? Tonight is the first read.
It is just cleanup, so the sooner I I knew I do need the money for utilities to take care of that for the senior center. So if you would, motion to suspend, that would be appreciated.
Counselor Rollins.
So moved, I will make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule.
We have a motion by Counselor Rollins, we have a second by Counselor Prater. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Rattler?
Yes.
Mr. Schaubus?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes, the rules are hereby suspended. Counselor Rollins.
Motion to adopt.
We have a motion, Counselor Rollins, second by Counselor Prater. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Rattler?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
No.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes. Motion passes. Matters not on the agenda this evening? Am I missing
Do
something?
they want to add this for the zoning committee to the agenda?
We did have an ordinance through the zoning committee earlier this evening. What are the wishes of council if we were to add this to the agenda tonight? Counselor Ratliff.
Personally, I think it should be added for the purpose of a first reading. That gives it a number and will be placed on our agenda before the can-do resolution, because me personally believe it's important to pass this, even if it's at the same meeting, before passing any support funding for can-do.
Counselor
Schauber?
Counselor Schauber.
The ordinance for the solar farms, or for the ordinance we have in committee has nothing to do with that area that has a lease on it. That would be a solar farm, and that's governed by the PUCO or some other higher authority than us. What ordinance that went through committee is dealing with is strictly residential and commercial applications for those individuals to use on their property, not a utility.
Now, the way I understood it is that it only permitted solar on residential properties.
I don't take it that way. I think it's just defining the rules for what we can define the rules for, and that is zoning of residential and commercial. We cannot do anything, I believe, what Evan told me with solar farms.
Counselor Rollins, accessory.
Yeah, I believe good evidence to leave this off the agenda for tonight so that we can digest this a little bit, because there's a few things that I need to digest in here for sure.
So we have a motion to add it to the agenda. We don't have a second at this point.
We would take 3 members.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to have a second first, but yes, sir. Mr.
I'll second it.
So we have a first and a second to add it to the agenda.
I'll second.
Looking for a third.
Third.
Mr. R. Smith, so we had a first, and then a second by Mr. Barr, and a third by Mr. R. Smith. First by Councilor First Read.
Yeah.
First, second, third.
That's what's on the agenda. For reference purposes, this will be ordinance 2025-058. Ordinance amending chapter, thank you, 11, Planning and Zoning, Title 9, General Use and Development Standards to 1164 to regulate accessory solar energy systems.
So this item has been added to the agenda. Could you repeat the ordinance number that we?
2025-058.
Repeat it one more time.
58.
2025-058 is the ordinance number.
Christian Nelson, 211 East Fairground. Does anybody have a copy of this?
It was attached to the back of the zoning packet that was outside, and that the zoning committee had.
So you guys are focused on section 5, correct?
I don't have a section 5.
I have a bunch of section 5. But this ordinance only addresses solar as an accessory structure. So wherever there's solar, there has to be a structure associated with it. That's how to keep it clean and simple in your mind. If you go out to Marion Williamsport Road, at 990 acres, has no structure associated with it. It is a utility. It goes up the pole and out of the county.
Yeah, we would that first. So,
Then I don't think that we can do anything.
that, this came through the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the structure, the 900 or so whatever acres out there, were avoided on purpose, because that got tricky. He sold it, or sold the lease to it a while ago, and then after he started thinking about it, he didn't want to do it, but he's locking the lease. So what do you do? And then I can only speak for myself. The thought process was then, well, those are solar's going to slowly move towards Marion eventually. And I don't want it moving like I've seen it move on some of the county roads that lead in here, like
739 over to Indian Lake.
I mean, there are structures that are 12 feet tall sitting out there. And there is no way on this earth that me personally, in the second ward, is going to be okay with a person having a 12-foot tall structure beside their house for the purpose of solar. We have to be considerate of what goes on around us, which is why we limited the height that they can be. Which is why we said, you have to come before us to get the permit to do it. Like, these are just the things that are going to happen. Like, yes, we're going to be amenable to solar, but at the same time, you're going to have to play ball with the city. And I think more than one person, it was not a solar question. It was, and I don't know how you guys address this, what happens when a person just puts it up? Much like a fence. Because a fence is a lot cheaper to tell somebody to tear down than solar panels. So what happens then? Because the answer to the Board of Zoning Appeals is you don't really have any teeth to do anything, and then everybody else has said, well, you have to let us know that happens. Well, according to the people in the second ward that I'm talking to, they're screaming from the top of their lungs that people are building 8-foot high fences out there, and nobody's doing anything about it. So this falls in that this is my biggest concern when I voted in favor of this, and it's my biggest concern now. It is not solar. It is what happens when somebody doesn't follow the rules and they just do it. Because the thing I've noticed is, and I'll let this be my last statement, this community especially it is easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. Because I'm betting you're not going to make me take it down. So, what do we do? That would be my question. I understand that may not be a question you guys can answer because you may be in the same boat as us. If it's not written down, we can't really do anything to enforce it, but we agree with you. So that's my biggest concern question. What happens when they just stick it up and they don't follow the rules? So, thank you.
Councilor Ratliff?
So as I was watching the news and doing some reading, and I will preface this by I am by no way a scientist. It was my least favorite subject all through school, and I am not big on science myself as far as learning and knowing. But Nebraska currently went through a issue where they have solar farms out there, and they had a hailstorm. And in solar panels, there's something called cadmium. and that's what a solar panel needs in order to attract sunlight. And it's okay because cadmium is actually poisonous because it's covered by glass. Unless you have a hailstorm or a tornado or something along those lines that would expose the cadmium into the community. And it actually, in my reading, it contaminates the area for 300 years. And cadmium exposure causes anemia and kidney failure and decreased bone density and increased chance of cancer. Now, Ohio has less hailstorms than Nebraska does, but historically we have 4 a year. And we have 30 to 50 thunderstorms a year, and again, 4 of those historically and on average, there is hail associated with that. So I'm just going to caution us to be extremely careful when we're approving any of this because there are consequences that we may not even think about. I had never thought about that, had no idea what was even in solar panels until I was seeing the issues that they're currently facing out there.
I saw that too, Mr. Ratliff.
Come on up, Mr.
The same
Zanga.
thing about what happened in Nebraska, and it does concern me that any kind of natural event, I have family in Texas, and I remember when they had the windmills, and they had to freeze in Texas, and the city of Houston had no heat or power because they were being driven, believe it or not, in Texas by windmills. So for a week, my family down there had no heat. And it was like one of the few times in Texas it got down to 0 down in Houston.
Mr. Lazinga?
Yeah, I was going to answer previous question, but I'll talk to you after the meeting after Texas, because Texas, the problem was the actual gas plants and stuff, the lines freezing. It wasn't the windmills. Windmills actually helped save them because it was after the meeting. But getting back to the legislation, to the ordinance, it pertains, as Councilman Schauber said, to accessory, to allow accessory only solar and not utility scale, which is what you were talking about in Nebraska. Those are, solar farms.
Yes.
This would not allow solar farms. But it's important for this, also for the city, because on the solar farms, if they're under 50 megawatts, they have to comply with the local zoning. The 100 megawatt one, which is being constructed north of Marion and Williamsport Road, is on 756 acres. We don't have 756 acres south of Marion and Williamsport Road in the city. So, we've got about, I had to add it up, but probably about 100, maybe 120 acres. So, do the math, it's going to be kind of hard to have anything over 50 megawatts in that area. So basically, if you just allow accessory solar farms, you're pretty much ending the utility scale within the city of Marion, unless you annex some huge area of, like 700 acres or 500 acres. So that just wanted to point that out.
But, Mr. Lazinga, to your point, an accessory use, no matter the zoning, industrial, residential, commercial, whatever the zoning, whatever the tract, whatever the property is, it would have to be an accessory use, correct?
It's for that user, and the power is going to be primarily used by that residential customer or commercial business or industrial. And as we explained at the committee meeting, for residential, they would be allowed, they have to contact the power company, and then the zoning inspector would check that to see if they had that, and then could allow it on a roof, or in the yard, if it meets the same setbacks as a shed or a garage. So that, in most cases, unless you have a huge interior side yard, it would be, most cases, it would be limited to the backyard. For business and industry, they could have roof ones as of right, but any solar not on the roof would have to be approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals as a conditional use.
So to that point, and I kind of asked this question earlier in committee, I'm XYZ Company. I bought 20 acres in the city of Marion. I'm starting my factory here. I'm building a 10-foot by 10-foot manufacturing facility and want to use the remainder of my property for solar. So at the very minimum, I would have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals to start.
Yeah, and the way it's worded right now, there's a maximum limit of 10 acres for that. So if I can change your example, if they bought 20 acres and the building and the parking and everything was on 10, they could apply for the other 10, although when you take off, when you take off the setbacks and everything, it might only be 7 or 8. And the board would not have to allow one that big. In fact, for most of the city, maybe a quarter acre would be too big. That was one concern I had when the planning commission put the 10 acres in there. I wasn't against that limit. Some people look at that and say, well, wait a minute, you're going to allow up to 10 acres? Well, no. Some places you don't have to allow it at all, or obviously it's right next to downtown, maybe 100 feet or something. So any other questions?
Mr. R. Smith.
I have a question. Supposing I have an adjacent lot to my house, I cannot put a solar panel in my front yard. So how far up could I bring solar panels on the adjacent? Could I bring it clear to the street?
Nope. No, it's adjacent. You have, the way that works in the zoning, and there was a good question during the committee meeting on that. The zoning really doesn't distinguish if you've got one big lot or 2 lots next to each other that are small. So if I've got on the southeast side of town, have a lot that's 80 by 150, the solar, most places would be in the backyard, or a huge interior side yard that still meets the setback. But if I'm in some other section of town and I wouldn't have a lot that big, but I might have 2 40-foot lots next to each other. The zoning just combines that into one 80-foot lot, and it's just regulated the same way. And it's an accessory. If you got a vacant lot down the street, under the current zoning, you can't put a garage on it, and you can't have a solar panel. Unless you get a variance, an accessory has to be on the lot or adjoining lot. It can't be down the street.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, was side-by-side lots. My house is set back from the street, say 40 feet.
Yeah.
Could somebody build a solar panel closer to the street in a side lot than 40 feet?
It could be on the side lot. It would have to be even with the house or back. It cannot be in the...
That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Barr.
Mr. Lingaza, I just had a quick question. When Savion, the lease, I know you were going to look into the applications. Was the application, did it include any of the properties south of Williamsport?
No.
Perfect, and that's why we've been having these conversations to get this through.
Yeah, I talked to 2 people from the Ohio Power Siting Board. But there's additional information we have to find out. But no, they have not applied, and I went through their application. And their application actually said that they would not be hindering any development outside of their project area.
Okay.
So it's interesting.
Thank you.
So project area, that Savion, is north of Marion Municipal.
Yeah.
Councilor Lang.
I was aware of what is in solar panels, and my concern is the disposal of them. And there's nothing in the ordinance that, I mean, it says
Oh,
they
yeah.
have to maintain them, they have to,
There's some teeth in there. That we can, if they don't clean it up, if it sits vacant and isn't being used for 30 days, then they have to remove it. If they don't, we'll remove it at their cost.
I understand all that, but where do they dispose of it? Is there restrictions? There should be restrictions on where they can.
Oh, I imagine that's the EPA.
Well, that's a good question. That is an excellent question. I mean, that's something communities are gonna have to deal with for for a lot of stuff. Solar, TV, applying your TV.
Would that
For
be,
different
would
things,
that
computers.
need to be addressed in an ordinance, or is that something that we would?
I think it would be general maintenance. I would say, not each section of the code, but in the general maintenance regulations in the city. Yeah. I don't know, but refer to the law director. And just, you know, at some point in time, you might want to look at a maintenance code. We talked about that before, over and above the zoning, just the maintenance code. As far as enforcement, I don't know if you were law director or not, Mark, but we did have somebody that built a garage, flagrantly violated the zoning code, and asked for a variance, it was turned down, and didn't tear down, didn't alter the building, and a judge forced the garage to be torn out. So it can happen, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but it can happen.
And Councilor Lang, I would agree with you that that's a good question, but to quote Councilor Shawver, that sounds like a rabbit hole you're getting ready to go down with the disposal of the property. Is there any other discussion on this? We'll call this a first reading for ordinance 2025-058. Any matters not on the agenda this evening?
Christian Johnson, 211 East Fairground. So, just a little story time before we get to the actual issue. I have little people in my life, and they play baseball, and they play softball, and tonight was opening day. And last week, I want to say Thursday, my nephew's team is down a person. He got pulled off the team, he can't play anymore. One of the other players, his little sister, was going to step in and play for him. And as she's unpacking her bag, the other coach comes out of his dugout and starts screaming at a 9-year-old, saying there's no way she can play. She's not allowed. And I said, what in the world is he even talking about? He's like, it's the very first rule. Well, being I like to research stuff, he wasn't lying. Marion City Youth Baseball Program, there's currently a rule that was adopted through the Marion County Baseball Softball Association that states that girls cannot play baseball. The rule actually says, Marion County Baseball Association requires all players to be biologically male to participate in Little League Baseball. So, at first this might seem like a standard policy or a tradition. Some may think girls can simply play softball as an option. Anybody who's played baseball and softball will tell you they are two very different sports. Very different. The only thing they have in common is bats and a round ball. That's it. That's where it stops. So we look a little closer. This raises important questions about fairness and inclusion for all children who want to participate in our community sports. This situation is one that is already present in our city and should not be. It involves not just the families directly affected by the rule, but also the City of Marion and the Parks and Recreation Department. While the city may not have created the rule, it has chosen to adopt and implement it. This means the city shares responsibility for how it impacts our youth. Because our youth programs use public facilities and receive municipal funds, possibly federal funding, they must comply with laws that prohibit discrimination based on sex, such as in Title IX and the Ohio Civil Rights Act. These laws are designed to ensure that all children have equal opportunity to enjoy and participate in sports programs. If girls are excluded from playing baseball in our city leagues, it could possibly lead to challenges, not only legally, but to how our community supports and nurtures every child's potential. This is not about assigning blame, but about understanding the impact of these policies and exploring how we can make the program more inclusive. Our Parks and Recreation Department works very hard to provide quality programming and facilities. By reviewing and adjusting certain rules, we can continue to serve our families fairly and equitably. Encouraging inclusivity in our sports program helps teach our children important values: teamwork, respect, equal opportunity that extend beyond the baseball field. This is a hard one, because I just want to thank everybody for listening and at least working together to ensure that every girl in Marion has the chance to grow and succeed. Marion girls are more than good enough to play baseball. It is our responsibility to make sure we don't send the message that they aren't welcome in our national pastime. I'll just add, the look on a kid's face when you tell them they can't participate in something that they see all their friends doing is devastating. The look on this little girl's face when she was unpacking her bag to play, and this grown man was screaming that she's not allowed to be included, was devastating. I 100% believe that he used the rule that she wasn't biologically a boy to exclude her from playing, because the bag she was unpacking meant she meant business. She knew what she was doing. This wasn't a pastime for her, but she played this sport. He knew it. And so to give himself a competitive advantage, he decided he was going to crush a 9-year-old girl with a rule that shouldn't be a rule in the first place. If you read the rules that they give out, you can tell the organization that did this rule just hit enter and put it at the top. That's the only reason it's the first rule. It's because they just made a new rule and they stuck it in among these 78 other rules that they have. It's... Go ahead.
Mr. Barr. I was at opening day tonight and passed out trophies and medals for some events they had, and there was girls and boys on the same team.
Not on baseball.
I passed out the trophies. But we'll be looking into it, I'm sure. Am I right? We'll be looking into it, Christian.
So opening day, and it is my understanding, and thank you for looking into it, is more than just Marion City. This is a Marion City rule.
Okay.
We played teams for Cardington last year, and they had a picture. She was 9, and she was the Randy Johnson of 9-year-olds. She didn't have any control. She won 3 kids. But she was the Randy Johnson of 9-year-olds, and she could, it was unreal. But this is a Marion City rule that has been adopted to cover both baseball and softball. Because if you look at softball, the very first rule in softball is boys can't play softball.
I don't see the issue.
Councilor Rona.
Well, obviously, this is something that has received national attention for quite some time now. And I was thinking that most of the time that you were up, that if the role would have been reversed and there was a girl that couldn't come to her softball game, would everyone have felt the same if somebody's brother wasn't allowed to play?
If he's 9. I can only speak for myself.
I'm just asking the question.
No, I'm asking, and I'll answer the question. For myself, I don't care. He's 9. If he wants to play softball, let him play softball. And I understand that Mr. T. Smith said I don't see the issue here. Title IX funding affects more than just sports. And I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm bringing this to your attention. But if a parent were to get fired up that for some reason his little girl can't play baseball and he starts to make a mistake, the rules, I get what the rules are there for, but Title IX is not going to care. You cannot discriminate based on sex, age, or race. And when you make a rule saying that girls can't play baseball, that's exactly what you're doing. You may not see that there's a problem with the rule, that's your opinion. Title IX sees that there's a problem with the rule. So, that's all, and I understand your point, like, what if this was, I get it.
Well, and I've had kids go through the baseball program, and I know that there's co-ed t-ball and there's co-ed soft pitch, or coach pitch. I don't know where it stops.
I don't either.
You know,
This set of rules that we're going under now, that we're playing under this year, I believe this is the second year that they've adopted these rules. And the first rule, from reading through, was changed because the state of Ohio adopted the bathroom law. And now that we have a bathroom law, somebody said we need to have a baseball law. And they changed it and said boys play baseball, girls play softball, and that's the way it is. Well, they're not.
but what if they're 11? Or what if they're 13? Like, I mean, when is it okay?
For me, never. There's not a line. There's not a line. I played football. I had 3 girls on my team my senior year. They dressed in their own locker room, of course, but they still played with me on our team. That's all I'm saying. Like, I understand your point. Like, is there a line? Do we cut it off at some time? For me, why? Why do we want to say that if a girl is talented enough to play with boys, she can't?
Well, because let's say that she's 16 and somebody can't play, and you pull a girl out of the stand so that you can have the field, and she gets hurt.
I mean, I guess we could, that, first of all, you and I both know that the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. It would be the same if somebody gets hurt and instead of the Reds going to their farm system, they go to one of the ball girls on the sideline. That's never going to happen. At 16 to 17 and 18 years old, you're not pulling people out of the stands to play on your teams. I don't care if you're pulling another dude out of the stands. You're not doing that. If a person gets hurt and they're not on the team at that age, we play a man down. That's the way at that level, that's the way those sports work. It's not 9. But I understand your point.
Certain biology tells you that growing up, girls and boys at a certain age, girls are actually stronger than boys. You know, and then there comes a point at 16, 17, 18, it's different. Now, the only thing you could do is to have some thing that says up in 9 and 10 a year olds you could have co-ed, but it would have to be designated for everybody. Of course, everybody would have to have a girl, maybe one girl on the team.
Why?
For fairness.
So if I have a girl on my team, but Councilman Rollins doesn't have a girl on his team, I have a competitive advantage.
I formed a league. I formed an extra softball league. We played out of Elgin in the late 80s, and we actually set that up to where we would have 2 females. You had to have 2 females in the starting lineup, and everybody agreed to it, and it worked out great. Sometimes some teams had 5. But, I mean, like I said, it's at a certain age, boys and girls, there's a difference in how they compete, and I understand the heartache of the little girl at that thing, but there are reasons why there are protections set in there.
So what is the protection? No, you've explained your situation, but
But I mean, you would have to say at what age, at what age,
on your team,
but
sometimes you have 5, and now you're telling me girls
But let's
can't
just,
play with
no, let's
baseball.
just say, I'm talking about adults. All right, let's just say that you got like, you know, when those girls are 15 and 16 and they're playing hardball against boys, there's a big difference.
I have girls that were 16 and 17 playing football.
I had a cousin that pitched up in Michigan and could strike out boys, but that is rare.
But I think we're going to Sports Department look into this. I do, I get it. But my point is, if you're saying 15 and 16 and they can pitch and they can get hit, the girls that I played with got blasted by 18-year-old boys and got up and went back to the huddle. So what is different between girls playing baseball and football, which is what we're not discussing? We're talking about a 9-year-old girl being able to take part in a Marion League.
Then the league would have to change its rules, and you'd have to get somebody to change the rule.
Okay.
Mr. R. Smith?
Mr. Dunson, I just want to say I agree with you 100%. I think that if a girl has the desire to play on a boys' team and she can qualify, she has every right to do that. And like you, I don't see an age limit. I think that any woman, any girl that wants to play should be able to play. However, we have a nationwide issue, maybe a worldwide issue, of biological males playing on female teams. So where do you divide that?
So I understand your point, and I believe that is an issue when you get into high school. But for my point is, don't see that being an issue at 9. I mean, your point is a bigger point. It's a bigger conversation than should a 9-year-old girl be allowed to play baseball, which is the sole purpose of my statement. Is if you think they should, great. The mayor and his staff team have said we will look into this rule, and I appreciate that. That's all I'm asking, is just to look into it, and we go from there. I feel very confident that the mayor will look into it, because just I know how much the mayor likes baseball. So, and that was my whole point, is just, I get it, it's a hot button, it can spiral quickly. I appreciate the conversation, I truly do. I appreciate the different viewpoints. My point is, we should not be in the business to tell a 9-year-old girls that they can't play baseball, because the only team they have to play baseball on is the boys' team. Because there are a whole lot of all-girl baseball teams in there. So, thank you very much for your time. And
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Any other matters not on the agenda?
I just have a quick
Counselor Barr.
question for Mr. Cowell or Mr. Bodine, possibly Mr. Walker. You guys get my email about the East George Street property, and is anybody following up on that?
I think we all did. I think, James, you followed up last about sending when it was reported, the change. Did you get that email?
Yeah, I thought I CC'd you in that. Let me go ahead and pull it up if you don't mind to pull up my phone to make sure I'm not.
I just wanted to know what it was zoned and what is allowed for the recovery housing.
I did not look at the zoning. You said, someone in this thread said it's
That's-
R1C right now. R1C, so, yeah, that's, recovery housing is permitted in R3, not in R1.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to verify before I reached back out to those constituents.
Even before that was passed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other matters not on the agenda? Mr. Lanzanga?
Yeah, real quick, earlier you adopted the resolution, thanks for the block grant. That was our 2025 funds. If on the federal budget, there's a question of whether there'll be any 2026 funds. So if you have an opinion, you contact your senators and our congressmen. I'm not here to advocate one way or the other, just to let you know that's being discussed. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lanzanga.
I am Craig, 365 Silver Street. I heard on the radio this morning that there was a meeting at Mr. Collins, Mayor Collins' office, and or maybe it's to be held in the conference room. Thought I heard it on Mr. Spears' radio station this morning. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I missed radio stations. Speaking of Can Do, are we ever going to get their financials? Because we have them in 2024, but I have not been able to find them for 2025. And I have reached out to them and requested them since they're majority publicly funded, and I've not heard anything back yet. So before we handed them over a bunch of money, I thought maybe we should see where their money's going like we did last year. And then, while we're talking about harassing kids in the city of Marion, first I can't imagine what a 9-year-old girl went through being screamed at by a grown man, and that probably would have turned into a police situation had I been there and it been my daughter. Because we'd rather tell kids, sorry, you can't play because that little girl over there ain't got the right parts. I mean, the fact that we're even discussing children's genitalia in a city council meeting is pretty disgusting, but that's neither here nor there. My own son, good kid, straight A student, out making a couple bucks this summer. Marion City Police Department, Sunday, mowing for someone that we met off the internet. Sunday morning, Marion City Police Department. Well, the person whose grass got mowed sent me a message. The police department's going to be calling you. I'll save you the phone call. Called myself. Why do you need to get a hold of me? Well, your son was over mowing such and such a yard, and he might have stepped in the neighbor's driveway. He might have stepped in the neighbor's driveway. Okay, first, there's video that he didn't step in the neighbor's driveway. His father was there. He did not step in the neighbor's driveway. And instead of actually asking the person who they're accusing of their driveway being stepped out of, can we see the video? No, they're calling up, telling a 15-year-old kid, make sure you don't accidentally step in her driveway the next time. He didn't almost accidentally step in her driveway. He didn't step in her driveway at all. Sorry if I'm raising my voice and anyone feels intimidated. So it was our warning. No, it's not a warning. Nothing happened. Can't warn me not to do something again that never happened. So, here it is. Y'all want to talk to my kid, get a hold of me. Don't send the police. And if it's for some stupid stuff like stepping in the driveway, keep that on your own. Because that is not a crime. You are not going to harass my straight A student. He is a good kid. He is the type of kid that most of us probably wish this town was full of. Out making some money, out doing the right thing. And the Marion City Police Department going to call up and say, don't step foot in a driveway, even if it was an accident. Okay, apparently they've got some trouble, the neighbors do. Not a 15-year-old's problem, all right? So maybe we need to allocate some money for the police department training, because stepping in somebody's driveway is an offense that will get the police called on you, and then they will call you until you don't do it again. But when someone threatens to murder you and burn your house down, and that's on video, that's not even worth their time to take a report. That's happened to us more than once. Now, y'all come back around my kid again for some bullshit, and you can go ahead and gavel me on that one. I will consider it retaliation and harassment, because you can't tell me.
I'm calling you to order. Please sit down. You're intimidating and harassing. You're sitting down.
Okay, leave my motherfucking kid alone. How's that for
Any other matters not on the agenda?
He talked about
Any other matters not on the agenda? Please be quiet.
Honestly.
Councilor Barr.
I was curious, was it somebody sitting up here on city council that called? I don't understand why we're getting chastised here on it.
I didn't feel chastised at all.
I didn't either.
Any other matters not on the agenda?
Yes.
My sandbox. Councilor Ratner.
My sandbox.
I have a couple. One I'm going to start with. I know that our treasurer is not here, but I will ask the auditor, was there any training that you know that took place up on the third floor?
No.
Secondly, there was an issue with that I don't even know that this happened for sure, but I'm going to ask. Was there issues that our trash trucks could not dump because the bill wasn't paid? And our trash trucks had to pull off to the side of the road at the dump station.
So, let me check what day it was. There was an issue on the 20th, that something like that happened. At which point, we discovered that there was a bill that needed paid, it got paid, and they were able to dump. What had happened was the bill had been received on the 5th and put into the system on the 5th. The approvals came in on the 6th, but the paperwork did not get to the auditor's office until the 8th. At which point, our clerk, who processes the bills, was already on vacation. We were unaware of the fact that this bill had been put in and that it needed to be expedited, so it did not get paid until the 20th when the situation happened.
When everything happened, I had contacted the head of the streets department. He gave me information for somebody at the transfer station. I tried to call her back and forth for an hour or so before it finally got resolved. But the bill's been paid and there's no more issue as of now.
Is this the first time this has ever happened?
Yes, because we actually went through and we checked the previous payments. There's been payments made around, on or around the 20th, and we've never had issue in the last, I think, 2 years.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate, you are not aware of any other time that our trash trucks could not get into dump?
No.
Okay.
Counselor R. Smith.
Yes, clerk went on vacation on the 8th.
Yes.
You don't have anybody trained to take over her spot? I mean, does that job just disappear until she gets back, or what?
It doesn't disappear. I was able to pay certain bills, and we had certain bills that other departments had made us aware of that needed paid before she came back. Those bills were paid. Again, this particular bill was not told to us that it needed to be expedited, so it stayed in a pile until she returned, and then the issue happened.
Isn't there a procedure for paying bills? Why would a particular bill need to be expedited, other than just handled like all the bills are?
So depending on the due date and when they come in, they may need to be expedited. So for example, we had a bill come in for a credit card payment and it needed to be paid by a certain date. So that bill, once it got in and approved and got to my office, they had only had a certain number of days before the due date. So that needed to be expedited. This particular bill, I don't know, like I said, it came to us on the 8th. I did not look at the invoice to see what the due date was because we had the issues on the 20th and we got it paid. But if it needed to be expedited, we should have been informed.
Okay. So just make sure I understand, if somebody in your office goes on vacation, their work falls back on you?
Their work falls back on someone else, yes. We haven't had an opportunity to cross-train just yet because we're still in the process of setting up ADP. But once we get ADP set up, we should be able to cross-train our administrative assistant to cover it as a backup.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Ratliff.
Couple of follow-ups. So just going over what you had said, the bill was inputted on the 8th and paid on the 20th.
Yes,
So that's 12 days.
yes.
I would find it hard to believe that we weren't able to dump our trucks because we were 12 days behind.
Again, that is the only time that I've been aware of an issue. I've not been made aware of an issue prior to that.
So how much was the bill?
I would have to check. I'm not sure off the top of my
How
head.
long was the bill for?
A month.
And what month was it for?
I think it would be April. I apologize, I don't remember. I was kind of going through quickly to make sure I got it paid in time.
Counselor Schauber has the floor.
Yeah, so I have actually been at the transfer station, and I wasn't there on the 20th of May, but I've been there and saw the guys poured over. And I dug into it. It's a kind of a reoccurring common practice that this happens, that they get pulled over before they get pulled in. They're allowed to dump because they have to authorize payment. And from what I understand, the transfer station gives the city a X amount of credit that they can dump. And if they have a heavy week or they double up, they can push past that limit. And that's kind of how they get caught up in that. So it's probably not necessarily you're several months behind. It's probably because you had heavy trash loads and you got up against your credit limit, for lack of a better term. But it has happened several times. And if I could quickly change the subject from that to Treasurer Reese. The duties that we're trying to get him to do in place, or in addition to what he's currently doing, the only thing council should and can do about that is determine if that should be a full-time position or remain part-time. Will these additional duties change his work requirements? Because that's the only thing I think we can actually do.
Councilor Lang, did you have your hand up?
No, more
No.
or less. No, it's not changing his duties.
No, that's, will it change his work requirement? Right now, he's like us, he's part-time.
Okay, so when you say work requirement, can you
Can we
explain
just
that?
make it as simple as possible? He's a part-time employee.
Yes.
Whatever being asked of him currently, or now, in addition to, will that require him to be in the office more to make him a full-time employee? That's the only thing council can do.
I mean, he's asked to do the reconciliation now, he's just not doing it right.
Yeah. I mean, we're part-time too. So, I mean, if I
I don't know what
spend-
language I'm speaking, but
He is supposed to be doing the disbursements and the withdrawals.
yes, I don't really care
Reconcile.
what he's doing specifically. But whatever he's going to do or what we're asking him to do, will that require more time from the treasurer?
And then
Or
what
is
Chelsea
it-
does, 2 hours on it?
A couple hours more,
A couple
maybe.
hours more, okay? So what's his time investment now?
He will not tell me. I do not know. I've asked him, he told me it was none of my business.
Okay,
I'm gonna
well,
yield the floor to Auditor McGinnis, she's up over here.
It will not require a full-time position. It is still considered a part-time position. It does not take a full 40 hours a week to reconcile.
so,
It
How many-
may take 40 hours over the entire month to reconcile, but that's if he's doing like 2 hours a day.
so you're saying 2 hours a day, every business day?
Right.
Is what his requirement should be. That's a part-time
I-
job.
Plus council meetings.
Plus council meetings. So, the only thing that council can do is change the salary, treasurer's salary, or, what was it, 5 years ago, we changed the requirement to have the treasurer attend council meetings. That would free up some more time for him. I'm just trying to figure out a solution to get someone to do the work, and if time is an issue, being part-time, and they may view it being more than a part-time job, we need to address that. That's the only thing council can do.
Christian Essen, 211 East Fairground. So, in my hearing your question, you asked two questions in one. You asked, what will it take a treasurer to do this part-time? What would it take our treasurer to do this? We all know full-time. Because it's going to take him longer than it would a normal person, because once he learns the system, he's going to have to implement the learning, and he's going to fight doing that. But he's going to fight down the clock the whole time. So the answer, in my opinion, from just seeing how these have gone, he will be full-time until he gets it down, which may be the day he leaves, respectfully. But for
I
a
would
work
not
answer,
go
for a
personally.
treasurer, I agree, part-time, absolutely, 100%. And that's the answer that the auditor gave, and that's the answer that other people are giving, and I agree with you. We have to understand, payment-wise, it's full-time. Once first you got to get him to do the training, which respectfully, he's refused to take, but let's say he takes it. Then he knows it. Then he's going to have to get caught up to do everything right that he's been doing, that they have said he's been doing wrong. That's going to take time. So,
There's nothing to catch up.
so the whole time that he's been doing his job incorrectly,
The auditor's office has been doing it correctly, so that it doesn't get behind.
so how many hours do you take fixing his work?
If I may just, I'll get back to that.
Yeah, sure.
It's not that he's doing anything incorrectly, it's that he's doing it incomplete. So while he's reconciling disbursements, my office has been reconciling disbursements and receipts.
In your office, how much time does your office use to complete that section?
Honestly, I would say probably about a total of 40 hours, maybe 50 if it's complicated.
50 hours a month?
Yes. And if it's complicated, if there's issues that arise, if there's something that's not matching up.
So you're looking at 50 hours additional a month on top of what
Not
he's already
additional,
No, not
50 hours
additional.
total.
Well, I just asked what your office, or that section that your office did, that you're now wanting Tommy to do. And you said it was 40 to 50 hours.
Right, 50 hours total.
So that is additional work.
Not additional.
To
Because
Tommy,
again,
it's to
remember,
Tommy.
he's already balancing the disbursements. He's already checking those off to make sure that part's done.
Right.
So all he needs to do is also do the receipts, which is all the money coming in.
That your office is doing now.
Right.
And your
That takes you
office
around 40
requires
hours.
how many hours to do that?
Oh, she's doing both, and it takes about 40 to 50 hours. I don't know exactly how much it takes her just to do the receipts, but to do both,
Doing both of what?
doing the disbursements and the receipts. So for her to do one entire bank rec takes 40 to 50 hours.
So she does the part of the job that he's not doing, and then she does the part of the job that he's doing incompletely.
No. And I
Good
feel like,
God.
I feel
No
like
wonder
I'm
we can't get
complicating it,
anything
and
accomplished.
I don't mean to. So the way that it works, the disbursements come in one module. That's the part that Tommy's currently doing. He goes in,
And
he
that's what
checks the
Tom Cannon did
boxes.
in previous
Yes,
treasury.
yes, he goes in, he checks the boxes, says these are reconciled, clicks OK, they're reconciled.
Mhm.
What Chelsea does right now is she uses the bank rec module, completely separate module.
Right?
She pulls that up. She then goes in, reconciles all the receipts, that's all the money that comes in, reconciles all the disbursements, that's all the checks, EFTs, wires that go out. She double checks to make sure if there's any ACH returns, any transfers, anything like that. Anything that comes in and out of the bank account, she balances. That total process for her takes about 40 to 50 hours.
So I had a hand from R. Smith, and I also had the law director as well.
Would it be safe to say that if it takes her 40 to 50 hours to do both receipts and disbursements, it should take Tommy the same amount of time, right?
To
40
do
50.
the
To do
entire
both
bank
of them.
rec,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly, yeah.
As opposed to what he's doing now, which is just the disbursements,
So he's probably doing 25 hours now, right?
would be my guess. I don't know. I don't know how long it takes him to do it.
Okay.
I know I don't see him in there all day, every day. But,
Why would you say all day, every day? It's a part-time job. That's what I'm
No,
trying to pull
right,
out of you.
and that's-
Because there's always these little nasty comments. I went to his office and he's not there. He's part-time, he doesn't have office hours.
Right, and if
So
I came
what
off
is his
nasty, I didn't mean
requirement
it
to
to come
do
off nasty.
what you guys want him to do? Is it full-time or part-time?
part-time,
Okay.
40 to 50 hours a month.
Director Russell, did you have something or not?
No, I was just going to suggest that we wait until the treasurer's present so he can be a part of the conversation too.
Counselor Barr?
I just had a quick question for Ms. McGinnis. How crucial will those 40 to 50 hours a week be to have the internal auditor working on the audits that we have coming up?
I mean, it would be helpful.
Thus the importance to get this training done and show that. Thank you.
Counselor Schauber?
So-
Sir.
When we first asked the treasurer to come to committee meetings, because reconciliation wasn't being done. And for years, I think it's still the current practice, the treasurer's report and the auditor's report does not match. It can be different from $100,000 to upwards of $3 million. Is that still the case?
Year to date.
Yes and no.
And we're not reconciling, are we?
So I went back to January of 2024, and I started reconstructing that report that I submit to you every month that compares his report to my report. Now, the thing that we have to keep in mind is those liability clearings from 22 and 23 that are incomplete, because I'm still waiting on New World to get back to me about how we're gonna process those. Those total up to about 1.1, if I have my numbers right, 1.1, $1.2 million. At the end of January of 2024, if we take those two into account, we're only off by $7,000. And I could submit that report to you if you'd like.
But your monthly reconciliations that used to go to the finance committee had offages. That was That word was coined in Finance Committee
Right.
of millions of dollars, and that's
And-
still a common practice.
And that's why I say yes and no. So if we carry those differences, those two liability clearings, if we continue to carry them over, they may have different offages still. I haven't had a chance to continue that. But if we carry those offages over still with the liability clearings, we should be able to see what the problems are. Because like I said, at the end of January 24, we were only off by about $7,000, which is a significant improvement over like the 1.2, 1.3, or whatever it was before that.
And we've had reports where we were close, and then it just gets blown up the next time. So I still can't figure out why changing modules or having someone else do something different if the root problem is not getting fixed. And our root problem has been for the last 6 years is we do not reconcile properly or at all. And at all was our problem that got us to this point.
Any other matters not on the agenda? You've been called to order. I will not recognize you again tonight. I won't recognize you again tonight. I don't care. I don't care.
I will
Any
make a
other
motion.
matters not on the
I will
agenda?
make a motion to let her speak. I mean, I don't, we can't have the business of shutting public out.
It's in the council rules.
Okay, just add a 0 to that check you're gonna write me. See you later.
See, that's threatening and harassment right there.
It's not threatening when we're
Any
pending
other matters not on
litigation.
the agenda?
We are
Councilor
pending
Ratliff.
litigation.
Okay, so I have a couple questions then about, I'll say mowing. Because I think anybody who's mowed has, if you're gonna mow up to your property line, has ran your mower in your neighbor's yard, or stepped into your neighbor's yard, or turned your, it's impossible to not. Are we really in the business of ticketing or prosecuting people for stepping into the next door neighbor's yard if they are mowing?
So I'm going to respond. Earlier, there were comments directed towards the police department indicating that they may have been doing something improperly. That's far from the accurate truth. This is a neighborhood dispute that's been ongoing for a number of years. Has led to both sides being charged with crimes in the past. Maybe it's just that that family wasn't aware of the issues that were taking place where the mowing took place. Maybe they were unaware, but they stepped into the beehive on Saturday or whenever it was that they were mowing. So this particular conflict between neighbors has been ongoing, continues to be ongoing, so we can't try to make rational answers in regards to stepping over a property line because this dispute's all centered on the property line in this neighborhood.
So my next question then would be, and I'm just going to take everybody at face value on this because I think that's the best place to start. It sounds like a neighbor hired somebody to mow. And if they had hired a professional mowing service that comes with, a truck that's got their sign on it, and I can't even think of one right now, but
I have one for 20 years. You can't think of
you're
one?
you don't operate anymore.
No,
So,
I don't.
so let's say that there were, would everybody have reacted the same to a company as they did a 15-year-old kid?
I don't think you can take this situation and compare it to just our general experiences. So you can't give a scenario or a hypothetical that, let's say it wasn't the 15-year-old teenager making a few extra dollars and it had to be Joe Smith's lawn company. I have some belief that the actors involved here, meaning that both property owners, there's more to it than just simply the one subject hired the 15-year-old to cut his grass. I believe there's a lot more going on, but you can't relate this particular conflict in the neighborhood to what we would experience in our average neighborhood throughout Marion, the city of Marion.
Any other matters not on the agenda?
I have a couple of follows with that. So I don't know what the phone call was like or who it was to, But if that were the case, would we threaten somebody with giving them a ticket? I mean, and I don't know if a threat was even made.
Well, that's probably the best point. I think we don't know whether there's a phone call. I don't know what phone call is being referenced. We need to listen to, if there was a phone call and it was recorded, we would listen to it. If it wasn't recorded, and we may ask a person, what was said. But I haven't heard of a phone call, so it's not, the phone call's not an issue in regards to the problems going on with these neighbors that live next to each other.
I don't know the neighbors. I don't know any of them.
Mr. President.
Or Mayor
I
Collins.
think something important to mention here is that if she has a problem with the police department, they have a complaint process. She can follow the complaint process, and then if she's not happy with that process, then maybe she would come to council and say she wasn't happy with how that process worked. But from what I've heard, the process hasn't even been initiated yet as far as a complaint.
Can any council person say what the process is? I don't know it.
All you have to do is reach out to the police department and ask to file a complaint. They'll walk you right through the process. Very easy.
I mean, it's not if that's the department you have a complaint against. I mean, that would be the last people that you would want to call. If you're saying, I called and I had an issue, I wouldn't advise you to call back.
But I think you have to give them the opportunity to fulfill what they do with the complaint process. They have a citizen complaint process for any type of call, and they get complaints maybe 50, 70, 80 a year, that they internally investigate them and reach out to both parties in the complaint process and see if there's any validity or anything that the department may have done wrong that they can correct and train out in the future. Or they can say that there was no evidence of any kind of violation found in their policy or procedure, that the officer acted appropriately or whatever. So I think that you give that process the chance first, and if it doesn't work, then if that citizen feels like the process didn't work for them or that it was a one-sided process, then they come to council and say, look, we don't feel like we got a good handshake with the police department, in this complaint that we had. But I think all complaints start somewhere, and that's where that complaint would start, with that department.
Any other matters not on the agenda? We're going to move on to committees. Airport, Lands and Buildings, Councilor Lang.
Nothing at this time.
Jobs and Economic Development, Councilor R. Smith.
Yes, can do, 6:30.
Legislation, Codes and Regulations, did you say 6:30? I'm sorry, I'm not. 6:35 for legislation and codes. We will have a charter ordinance to review, ready to send to council, and we also have a discussion on parking violations. Municipal Services, Parks and Recreation.
Nothing at this time.
Public Utilities, Councilor.
I have nothing to call at this time.
Regional Planning, Councilor T. Smith.
Fourth Wednesday, 7 p.m.
Streets and Sewers, Councilor Barr.
Nothing at this time.
Zoning and Annexation, Councilor Prater.
Yeah, possible solar regulation, East Center Street rezoning.
Finance, Councilor Lang.
Right now, old business, and then the ordinance 2025-056 has been sent back to committee. We'll discuss that, and whatever else might come up, I'm sure Casey's got something. New business.
No other business, I'm sorry, hold on.
6:40.
What do we got?
6:45?
6:45?
Yeah. Yeah, just one last thing. Treasury Investment Board, I believe, is meeting at 7 that night.
We previously called it. That's fine, it's after all the meetings.
Right.
So in the agenda, it says after all the meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
I just
Thank you.
wanted to make note of that.
Appreciate it.
So Treasury Investment Board will meet at 7 PM.
As soon as everyone's done.
Yeah. June 2nd, correct?
June 2nd.
With no other business, we're adjourned, 9:15 PM.
Yes.
The entire time. And at one point, she fell
Applebee's.
asleep.
I got a piece of more.
Me too.
It's going down my leg.